Chapter 906. No, how would I dare? I really have something urgent to do. Xiao Chen's eyes darted around as he tried his best to escape from Xing's grasp. Xing became even more suspicious when she saw Xiao Yi like this. She interrupted him before he could finish. Did you sleep with her? Don't play dumb with me. I'm not someone to be trifled with. Little Miss Xing grabbed Xiao Chen's collar and pulled him in front of her as she spoke fiercely. Cough, cough, cough. Xiao Chen choked and didn't recover for a long time. He didn't think that young Master Ladyboy would be so bold to ask such a question. Hurry up and say it. Otherwise I won't be polite. Xing's face was filled with anger. She activated her technique and displayed the strength of a 10th level Devil King, releasing a huge pressure on Xiao Chen. Don't kill me. Xiao Chen was so scared that his legs went soft and his face turned pale. He sat on the ground with a plop and said weakly, I didn't know your girlfriend was a virgin. I thought you two had already done it. I was just playing around. Who knew? You had mercy, don't hit me. I really didn't do it on purpose. Xing was stunned when she saw Xiao Chen's cowardly appearance. This wasn't Xiao Chen's personality at all. If the person in front of her was Xiao Chen, he probably wouldn't be afraid after sleeping with young Master Xing's girlfriend. Instead, he would turn around and ask her for compensation for the loss of his youth and health. How could he be so cowardly? Could it be that I really misjudged him? This guy really isn't Xiao Chen? Then why did this kid ask for a tuition fee during dinner last night? Could it be that alcohol makes a coward brave? Is it because he drank alcohol that he became more courageous? Yes, that should be the case. Otherwise, it doesn't make sense. This isn't over. Just you wait, don't think that I'll let this go. Thinking of this, Xing Chick snorted and stopped looking for Ling Qianxue. She let go of Xiao Chen and turned to leave. Miss Xing began to feel that her strategy was wrong. It seemed that these two people really weren't Xiao Chen and Cheng Menjing. But no matter how she thought about it, she couldn't figure out where the problem was. Now she could only go back and look through Xiao Chen's information again to see if she had missed any key points. Xiao Chen stood up and patted off the dust on his clothes. A cold smile flashed across his face as he watched Chick Xing walk further and further away before disappearing at the corner of the street. This vague feeling was exactly what he wanted. Xiao Chen had already planned to let Ling Qianxue go back and say that she suspected Xiao Chen was still Xiao Yi. In this way that ladyboy would probably be in a complete mess, ha. After buying breakfast, Xiao Chen returned to the hotel room. With Cheng Menjing's help, Ling Qianxue gradually let go of the burden in her heart and agreed to help Xiao Chen hide his identity. But because of her loyalty to the Sakura group and the fear of betrayal, Ling Qianxue temporarily couldn't leave the Sakura group. Xiao Chen didn't care about this. Anyway, he had already achieved his goal. As long as Ling Qianxue could confuse Miss Xing, it was fine. As for the Sakura group and Yorishima Kikuo, Xiao Chen didn't care about them at all. With his current strength, it was a piece of cake for him to destroy them. The knot in the three's heart was untied and they finally relaxed. After eating breakfast, they split up and left the hotel. Xiao Chen and Cheng Menjing went to school. Ling Qianxue first went to find Miss Xing to explain the situation before deciding on the next step. Lanqing University Martial Arts Club. As the club president, Dong Jiqi, was seriously injured and was still recuperating in bed, the daily chores were all handled by Wang Jingtian. Although he didn't like to do these trivial things since he had the title of vice president, he couldn't just push all the responsibility to the club members. He had to do everything himself. Bang! With a loud bang, the door of the martial arts club was kicked open. Wang Jingtian was originally lowering his head to draw a form. When he heard the loud bang, he immediately frowned and looked in the direction of the door. Who's in charge of this broken place? Is there anyone alive? If there is, come out quickly. Come and welcome your father's arrival. After the dust settled, Du Rongwei swaggered in. He glanced at the empty martial arts club and shouted with a face full of disdain. What are you shouting for? Who do you think you are? You came to the martial arts club to show off. Do you want to die? Wang Jingtian put down the pen in his hand and walked out of the room unhappily. Oh, you've got guts, kid. How dare you be angry at our boss? Biaozi, who was next to Du Rongwei, suddenly jumped up. He rolled up his sleeves and wanted to rush over to teach Wang Jingtian a lesson, but was stopped by Du Rongwei. Du Rongwei cleared his throat, crossed his arms in front of his chest, nodded his head and said proudly, I'm Du Rongwei, the president of the karate club. I heard that there's a guy named Wang Jingtian in your martial arts club who seems to be very good at fighting. I just want to fight with him. Do you know where he is? Call him out. After the special training of the middle-aged ninja in the karate club, Du Rongwei's karate skills had a substantial breakthrough. Du Rongwei was ecstatic. As soon as he returned to the university, he began to challenge other martial arts clubs one by one. He just wanted to verify his strength and see if the expensive tuition was in vain. After defeating the presidents of other major clubs, Du Rongwei finally believed that the middle-aged ninja said that he had finished his apprenticeship, and his self-confidence was extremely inflated. He walked around the university arrogantly every day. Originally, Du Rongwei planned to go to the karate club today to pay off the remaining money. But when he was about to go out, he heard from Biaozi that there was a guy named Wang Jingtian in the martial arts club, who beat up the taekwondo club that came to find trouble. Du Rongwei's hands were itching again. He also knew the existence of this martial arts club, but he had always been dismissive of it. Because Dong Jiqi had been defeated by him before, and this guy couldn't even beat the president of the taekwondo club, so he never took the martial arts club seriously, and didn't take it into account when he challenged other clubs. But the appearance of Wang Jingtian made Du Rongwei a little interested. He now felt that he was invincible. Hearing Biaozi's words, he felt that Wang Jingtian should have some ability. If he could defeat him, then the status of the karate club in the university would rise to an unprecedented height in the future. He would be invincible in the world. Therefore, Du Rongwei waved his hand and swaggered to the martial arts club with Biaozi to provoke them. Karate club? Wang Jingtian picked up the form in his hand and glanced at it. Then he picked up a black carbon pen and crossed out the karate club column. Then he looked at Du Rongwei coldly and said, "You came at the right time and saved me a lot of time. Don't talk nonsense, hurry up and make your move." "Ah, you are Wang Jingtian?" Du Rongwei was stunned, looked up and down at Wang Jingtian and asked doubtfully, "Of course. Do you still want to fight? If you don't fight, your karate club will admit defeat." Wang Jingtian stared at Du Rongwei as if he was looking at an idiot, and his face was full of impatience. Was this guy stupid? Humph! Damn you! Du Rongwei had never suffered this kind of humiliation since he defeated all the clubs. With a cold snort, he kicked off with his left leg and rushed toward Wang Jingtian. He threw a punch at Wang Jingtian's face. Too weak. Wang Jingtian raised his hand and patted his mouth. He yawned as if he didn't feel the fist wind and stood still, letting Du Rongwei's fist hit his face. Crack. Only a crisp sound of bones breaking could be heard. Wang Jingtian was still standing and Du Rongwei's arms softened like a noodle. "Ah, it hurts?" Du Rongwei's grin suddenly turned into a painful scream, and he knelt on the ground. Du Rongwei couldn't figure out why his opponent didn't move, and his fist didn't hurt him at all. Instead, the bones in his hand were broken. "Oh, you finished? Now it's my turn, right?" Wang Jingtian looked down and laughed in disdain. He lifted his leg and kicked Du Rongwei's stomach. Ouch. Du Rongwei had no strength to resist. He flew out of the martial arts club and fell heavily on the ground outside. He spat out a mouthful of blood and then passed out. "You, how dare you? How dare you hit Master Wei?" Biaozi, who was dumbfounded, saw Wang Jingtian coming toward him. He was shocked and bluffed, but he didn't dare to fight with him, so he could only step back. Until he retreated to Du Rongwei's side, Biaozi reached out his hand to check his breath, and found that he was still breathing. Then he was relieved. Otherwise, if Du Rongwei came out with him and died, he would be blamed. "Loser, I won't dirty my hands if I hit you. Get out of here." Wang Jingtian looked at Biaozi coldly. The strength of the previous kick was measured, and he deliberately kicked Du Rongwei's fleshy belly, so Du Rongwei would not be hurt at all. You wait for me. The Du family will never let you go," Biaozi said boldly, and then quickly carried the unconscious Du Rongwei on his back, and ran to the school infirmary. Bang! Wang Jingtian sneered. He was too lazy to care about this meaningless threat, and directly closed the door of the martial arts club. After stumbling to send Du Rongwei to the school infirmary, Biaozi collapsed on the ground, gasping for breath. The medical staff had been treating this kind of injured person for the past few days, and they were already used to it. Seeing the person being sent over, they directly carried him into the infirmary. After the medical staff's treatment, Du Rongwei finally woke up. There was good news and bad news waiting for him. The good news was that the injury on his stomach was not serious, and he would recover in 2 days. The bad news was that his right hand, which was injured by the reaction force, suffered a comminuted fracture, and the situation was more serious. Chapter 907. The medical staff carefully fixed Du Rongwei's right hand with a cast, and then told him to pay attention to protect it and not let the bone dislocate again. Even if he took good care of it, it would take nearly a year for his right hand to recover to its original state. Du Rongwei was very annoyed and he couldn't vent his anger. He didn't dare to go back and find fault with Wang Jingtian. After thinking about it, he put all the blame on the Extreme Karate Club. He felt that the middle-aged ninja didn't teach him well, so he was defeated by Wang Jingtian. Du Rongwei, who was depressed, went out of the infirmary and was supported by Biaozi to go to the Extreme Karate Club. He was going to settle the score with the red-haired guy. The red-haired guy was chatting with two ninjas in the office. Recently, their business was getting better and better and they were talking about opening a branch. As soon as he turned his head, he saw Du Rongwei and Biaozi coming in. This was their financial backer. The red-haired guy quickly stood up and said, "Isn't this Master Wei? What the F***ck? How did you get hurt so badly?" The red-haired guy was shocked when he saw Du Rongwei was supported by Biaozi, and his hand was still wrapped with a white cloth. Umph. Du Rongwei snorted and sat down on the sofa. He wanted to take out the cigarette, but found that his hand was inconvenient. Fortunately, Biaozi had good eyesight and quickly helped him light a cigarette. After a few puffs, Du Rongwei threw away the cigarette but pointed at the middle-aged ninja and said coldly, "Red-haired guy, you said he is a ninja master from Japan? You also said that as long as you go through his hellish training, you can defeat all the clubs in the school?" "Yes. I didn't lie to you. Haven't you achieved remarkable results recently?" The red-haired guy was a little puzzled. He didn't know what Du Rongwei was trying to do, so he said tentatively, "If you don't believe me, I can ask him to say a few words in Japanese to you." "Bullshit. Do you think that just because he can say a few words he is a Japanese?" Du Rongwei raised his fractured right hand and said angrily, "Look at these injuries. These are the results of your so-called Japanese master's teaching. What's the result? Didn't I get beaten into this state by a normal person?" Redhead knew that Du Rongwei's appearance definitely wasn't a good thing. Now listening to what he said, he should have been beaten by someone, but logically speaking it was unlikely. How could an ordinary person beat the disciple of a middle-aged ninja? Redhair didn't know what to say. He quickly winked at the middle-aged ninja, wanting him to stand up and say a few words. "But, young Master Takashi, are you sure he's an ordinary person?" The middle-aged ninja asked, confused. He couldn't understand it either. With Du Rongwei's current strength, he was at least a half-step martial artist. How could he have been injured by a normal student? Unless, the other party was also a martial artist. Aren't you F***king spouting nonsense? He's not an ordinary person. Could he be a Superman or an alien? Du Rongwei waved his hand impatiently and said coldly, "Don't talk about useless things. Now that your training has not achieved its effect, hurry up and refund my tuition fees, and then compensate me for my medical expenses. Otherwise, I won't let you off." "Young Master Takashi, don't be anxious. According to what you said, the other party might be a martial artist, that's why he could injure you. How about this, I'll accompany you to meet that person and help you vent your anger. What do you think?" The middle-aged ninja didn't continue the conversation. Instead, he took a different approach and said in a nice tone, "Martial artist? Don't think that I don't know and you're trying to trick me. Martial artists are very powerful existences. Why would they appear in a university?" Du Rongwei had a look of disbelief. There were many martial artists in his family, so he wasn't unfamiliar with this term. What's there to be surprised about? Isn't your master a stage 5 inner force martial artist?" The middle-aged ninja knew that if he didn't show some of his true strength, he wouldn't be able to solve the problem today, so he directly revealed his strength. Du Rongwei was stunned and his mouth couldn't close for a long time. He persisted in practicing karate for a few years, but in the end he didn't even reach stage 1 inner force. He didn't expect that this ordinary-looking uncle in front of him was already a stage 5 inner force martial artist. "Don't be in a daze. As long as you train with me, you'll reach this level sooner or later." The middle-aged ninja saw that he had finally subdued Du Rongwei, and he felt proud in his heart. He put on a casual look and said, "Really? I can also become a martial artist?" Du Rongwei came back to his senses, and his face was full of excitement and desire. He thought of something and asked expectantly, "So, Master, you can really help me vent my anger?" The middle-aged ninja stood up, stretched his muscles and nodded lightly, "Let's go. Bring me to see the person who injured you. He dared to beat up my disciple like this. I think that kid doesn't want to live." Although the middle-aged ninja wasn't interested in bullying university students, no matter what, Du Rongwei was a financial backer of the karate dojo. If he refused to pay the rest of the tuition fees because of his injury, and the red hair had to compensate him for his medical expenses, then it wouldn't be worth it. In desperation, the middle-aged ninja had to personally help him out. Okay. Master, please come with me. Du Rongwei's expression at this time was completely different from when he first entered the door. He stood up with difficulty and bowed respectfully. Biaozi hurriedly stepped forward and supported Du Rongwei. The two smiled and led the way in front of the middle-aged ninja to the direction of Lanqing University. When the three of them arrived at the martial arts club, it was just the time for afternoon classes. Except for the two members who had no classes and were cleaning, everyone else was in the classroom. The whole martial arts club was empty. After entering the door, Du Rongwei directly walked 2 steps toward the inner room. He glanced around and found that Wang Jingtian was not inside. He was suddenly very unhappy. I brought my master here for revenge, but you're not here? You're not giving me face? Depressed, he pointed to the 2 members who were standing stupidly and scolded, Hey! You two, what are you doing? Hurry up and ask Wang Jingtian to get out. My master wants to teach him a lesson. The 2 members saw that the man was injured all over, his right hand was still in a cast, and his face was unkind. It was obvious that he was here to pick a fight. They looked at each other anxiously. One of the members summoned up his courage and asked cautiously, That, Vice President Wang went to class. May I ask why you are looking for him? Nonsense. Is your brain punctured or waterlogged? Before Du Rongwei could speak, Biaozi roared and rushed up first. He gave the 2 members a big slap and then said fiercely, Our Master Wei has just said that his master wants to teach Wang a lesson. Are you two deaf? Hurry up and find him or don't blame us for being rude. Du Rongwei stood there and nodded with satisfaction. It was convenient to have a younger brother like Biaozi who understood the situation. It saved him the trouble of having to compete with these 2 fools again. The 2 club members were stunned. One of them reacted quickly and realized that these people were here to challenge the club. He quickly took out his phone and gave Wang Jingtian a call, giving him a brief report of the situation. He will be here soon. Wait a moment. After receiving the news that Wang Jingtian would come immediately, the member put down his mobile phone, covered his face and said weakly, You know what to do. Biaozi glared at the 2 of them. He moved 2 chairs over and placed them for Du Rongwei and the middle-aged ninja respectively. He helped them sit down and stood on the side with his head held high. It didn't take long for Wang Jingtian to rush over. Looking at the handprints on the 2 club members' faces, then looking at the arrogant Du Rongwei and the arrogant middle-aged man beside him, Wang Jingtian basically understood what had happened after hearing what the club members had said over the phone. You've got guts. I just beat you up in the morning, and you dare to come and find trouble in the afternoon. I think you really want to die, don't you? Wang Jingtian said coldly. Although he was very angry, he was not impulsive enough to directly fight with them. He was also not stupid. Looking at the middle-aged ninja next to Du Rongwei, he estimated that this guy should have some skills. That was why Du Rongwei had the courage to come again and directly challenge him. Before figuring out the strength of the other party, Wang Jingtian naturally would not act rashly. Instead, he secretly operated his internal force and was ready to fight. Ignorant kid, don't talk big. I'd like to see how strong you are. The middle-aged ninja had already seen the strength of Wang Jingtian at the peak of martial artist level 3. He calmed down and slowly stood up, sneering. What are you? Before Wang Jingtian finished his words, the middle-aged ninja had already displayed the strength of level 5 internal force. Without saying anything, he directly flew over and punched Wang Jingtian in the chest. You are level 5 internal force. Wang Jingtian was suddenly stunned. He did not expect that the other party would ignore his question and directly attack, and his movement was so fast. At that moment, Wang Jingtian immediately judged that the other party's strength was 2 levels higher than his. At this time it was too late to dodge. He could only raise his hands and use his internal force to protect his chest. Bang! A muffled sound could be heard. Wang Jingtian's entire body flew out like a cannonball, smashing heavily into a wall not far behind him. The wall was directly smashed into a large hole, and the debris and dust fell directly to the ground. TSK. The middle-aged ninja snorted coldly, slowly walking in the direction where Wang Jingtian fell. With a face full of contempt, he said, I thought you were very strong, but you are only at level 3 internal force, and you dare to hurt my disciple? You are simply an ant. You can't even withstand a single blow. Wang Jingtian slid to the ground and spat out a mouthful of blood. Both of his arms hung weakly on the ground. The blow he received just now had fractured both of his arms. Gritting his teeth, Wang Jingtian struggled to stand up. Suddenly, a shadow covered his head, and then he saw a foot heavily stomping down on him. Chapter 908. Ah! Wang Jingtian felt a sharp pain in his legs and couldn't help but scream. With two kacha sounds, his legs fell limply to the ground. It was obvious that his kneecaps had been crushed by someone. Wang Jingtian was in so much pain that he almost fainted. He raised his head and saw the middle-aged ninja standing in front of him with a sneer on his face. He heard the ninja's cruel voice, "Kid, you broke my disciple's right hand. Now I will cripple your limbs. This can be considered an eye for an eye. It's fair and reasonable." Master, please be careful. Don't kill that brat. Otherwise, if the school investigates, I won't be able to escape. Du Rongwei didn't expect Wang Jingtian to be taken care of in the blink of an eye. The middle-aged ninja was also so ruthless. He was shocked and quickly stopped him. "Since my disciple is pleading for you, I'll let you go today." Looking at Wang Jingtian, who was like a pile of mud on the ground, the middle-aged ninja acted like he was giving Wang Jingtian a favor. "Master, the problem here is solved. Let's go." Du Rongwei was also afraid that the middle-aged ninja would torture Wang Jingtian and kill him, so he invited him to go. He had already decided to pay the tuition fee as soon as he returned to the karate dojo. He had to learn all of his master's skills. The middle-aged ninja nodded and looked down at Wang Jingtian. "Loser, remember this. From now on, every time you see my disciple, you will kowtow to him 3 times before you leave. If you don't like it, you can find me at the Extreme Karate Club in the student market. I'll accompany you anytime." After saying that, the middle-aged ninja spat at Wang Jingtian, and then swaggered out of the martial arts club in high spirits. Du Rongwei followed Wang Jingtian happily. He had already vented his anger and Wang Jingtian was still alive. Even if the school pursued the matter, his family would take the blame for it. It would not affect him at all. The 2 members of the martial arts club who were standing at the side were scared silly. After Du Rongwei and the others left for a while, they finally came back to their senses. One of them hurriedly took out his phone and wanted to call an ambulance. After all, Wang Jingtian's injuries were too severe. The medical equipment in the school infirmary was obviously not enough to save him. The other person quickly bandaged Wang Jingtian's limbs and used splints to carefully fix the fractured joints. He then called Dong Jiqi and Jia Muzhen to explain the situation and inform them to rush over as soon as possible. Since Dong Jiqi did not go to class and was recuperating in the dormitory, which was relatively close to the martial arts club, he was the first to arrive at the scene. After asking the club members to understand the situation, Jia Muzhen, Xiao Qin, and Cheng Minjing also rushed over. Everyone was shocked when they saw how serious Wang Jingtian's injuries were. This was no longer a normal guild challenge. This was a provocation. The school hospital no longer had the ability to treat this kind of injury. Not long after, the ambulance from Lan City's first hospital also arrived. The medical staff quickly checked Wang Jingtian's injuries and sent him to the ambulance. Fortunately, his limbs had been bandaged by the club members and the fractured joints were fixed with splints. Although his joints were dislocated, he would be able to recover after some rest. However, because the opponent was too ruthless, Wang Jingtian's ligaments and joints were severely injured. He might not be able to practice martial arts anymore. In other words, he was completely crippled. "President Dong, what's going on? Who beat Wang Jingtian up like this?" Watching the ambulance leave, Xiao Qin, who stayed in the martial arts club, asked Dong Jiqi. Jia Muzhen also accompanied Wang Jingtian to the hospital to handle the procedures. "Sigh. I've only just found out about it. It's like this." Dong Jiqi sighed. He had just asked the 2 club members who had been present throughout the incident, and only then did he know the ins and outs of the entire matter. Since Xiao Qin asked, he explained in detail how Du Rongwei was injured in the morning when he came to challenge the dojo and brought people to take revenge in the afternoon. Extreme Karate Dojo? This name sounds so familiar. I think I've heard it somewhere before. Cheng Minjing wrinkled her nose and said thoughtfully. "I remember when we went to the student market for the first time, this karate dojo had just opened and was promoting it. I didn't expect it to be a place with crouching tigers and hidden dragons." Xiao Qin frowned. Although Wang Jingtian was only a stage 3 inner force martial artist, he should be considered powerful in the secular world. However, he was beaten into a pig's head and didn't seem to be able to fight back. It seemed that the people in the karate dojo had a powerful background. That Du Rongwei is really hateful. It's obvious that he took the initiative to provoke us. If he can't beat us, then he can't beat us. He actually went outside to find helpers. He's simply too shameless. Cheng Minjing snorted and angrily waved her little fist. Xiao Qin turned to Dong Jiqi and asked, "President Dong, the situation is so bad now. Is the school not going to do anything? Even if Wang Jingtian is crippled, Du Rongwei won't be able to get away with it, right? Sai, it would be very difficult for the school to investigate and collect evidence if they go through the proper procedures. After all, martial arts clubs often spar with each other. It's inevitable that they would get hurt. However, such a serious incident has never happened before. I'm guessing the school will need a long time to deal with it. Dong Jiqi frowned and his expression was very serious. Then after they deal with it, will Du Rongwei be punished? Qing Minjing rushed to ask. I think it'll be difficult. Du Rongwei's family has a bit of a background in Lan City. Now that Wang Jingtian's life is not in danger, it's possible that the two sides can negotiate and settle the matter with some money. Dong Jiqi shook his head helplessly. Dong Jiqi had been in the martial arts club for a while, so he knew that similar incidents had happened in the past. On the surface, many clubs would spar with each other in the name of sparring, but in the dark they would resort to underhanded methods. They would even hire people from other places to help them, resulting in many injuries. In the beginning, the school did deal with the matter seriously a few times, but in the end, there would always be people from influential families stirring up trouble, and the matter would end without a conclusion. In the end, the school could not do anything about it. They could only choose to give a verbal warning and consider the matter over. No way? Wouldn't that be lawless? Qing Minjing said angrily. Xiao Qin did not say anything. He thought to himself, young mistress is still very silly and naive. Ever since Qing Mingxiang stirred up trouble, no one dared to cause trouble for the Cheng family. You should know that the hedonistic sons of rich families who could do such things basically had a powerful background. Who would have the guts to provoke them? There's nothing we can do. After all, they are all from influential families. Many of them paid high sponsorship fees to join the club. Dong Jiqi shook his head and told the truth. Damn it. Qing Minjing was so angry that her face was flushed and her mouth was pouting. Seeing this, Dong Jiqi said earnestly, now I will go to the school to make a record. In short, you guys have to be careful these days. Don't provoke Du Rongwei. Oh right, also inform Xing Gongzi and Ling Xiaoxue. Ask them to be careful. Xiao Qin nodded seriously, but he almost laughed in his heart. Child Ladyboy is a Demon King level 10 great perfection expert. Who would mess with her for no reason? Isn't that courting death? As for Ling Xiaoxue, she didn't come to class after they parted in the morning. He didn't know how she was doing now. Xiao Qin only hoped that her acting was realistic enough. It would be best if she could stun Child Ladyboy. Then it would be a great success. Xiao Qin, let's go smash that crappy karate dojo. I really can't take this lying down. After Dong Jiqi walked far away, Qing Minjing tugged on Xiao Qian's sleeves and said in a low voice. And no problem. I'm also quite interested in that karate dojo. Xiao Qin said indifferently, to be able to injure Wang Jingtian, who is at the peak of martial warrior level 3, that person must be an expert. I just don't know why they are living in seclusion in the student market. I also want to go and take a look. He was indeed quite unhappy with those people. He was thinking about teaching them a lesson, but he didn't expect the Missy to bring it up first. If it was before, Xiao Qin would probably be overcautious. But now, even if Ma Wanxiao came, he would still die. Then shall we go now? Qing Minjing asked with a little excitement. She was a little excited. After she advanced to Golden Core Level 1, she always wanted to find a chance to test her strength. However, she didn't have a suitable opponent. She couldn't possibly choose to fight with Xiao Qin, right? He is not my opponent at all. Let's go at a later time. Let's go back first. To be on the safe side, we'll go with 2 unfamiliar faces to prevent people from recognizing us. Xiao Qin thought for a while and felt that it was better to keep a low profile. After all, he still had to fool the ladyboy. After the two of them discussed, they went back to their respective dormitories. Qing Minjing hadn't returned to the dormitory for a few days. No matter what, she had to show her face. Otherwise, Ling Qinyu would think that she left without saying goodbye. Ling Qinxue wandered aimlessly on the streets for half a day. When the sun was about to set, she reluctantly returned to the dormitory. Although she had already discussed with Xiao Qin and Qing Minjing in the hotel, when it came to betraying Xing and Yakushima Kikuo, Ling Qinxue would more or less hesitate. Thus, she gave herself some time to mentally prepare herself. Why are you only back now? I tried calling you, but your phone was turned off. What happened? Xing, who had been waiting in the dormitory for half a day, asked expressionlessly when she saw Ling Qinxue push open the door and enter. I was, sob. Ling Qinshua's eyes reddened and large teardrops rolled down her cheeks. She sobbed and repeated the words Xiao Qin taught her this morning from beginning to end. Chapter 909. Stop complaining. Xing frowned slightly. Even though she sympathized with Ling Qianxue, she thought of her mission and hardened her heart. You were careless. Since you know you can't hold your liquor, don't drink so much. Plus, it was an order from Yi Dao. Ling Qianxue didn't say anything. She wiped her tears on the surface, but she had a different feeling in her heart. She felt that Xiao Chen was more considerate. This young Master Xing really had a heart of stone. He didn't care about her feelings at all. Maybe to him she was just a valuable tool. If young Master Xing knew what she was thinking, he wouldn't know whether to laugh or cry. She was also a woman. Even though she sympathized with him, the sex benefits were more important than anything else. Plus, young Master Xing and Ling Qianxue were only working together, not a couple. Alright, stop crying. Since you're a ninja, you must have this kind of awareness. Did you find out? Is that person Xiao Chen? Seeing that Ling Qianxue was crying non-stop, Miss Xing sighed helplessly and asked. That Xiao Yi really doesn't seem to be Xiao Chen? Ling Qianxue frowned and said in a low voice, but that Qing Yao Yao seems to be Qing Menjiang. What? What does that mean? Did you find out or not? Xing felt that the first half of Ling Qianxue's sentence was within her expectations, but the second half of Ling Qianxue's sentence shocked her. What did she mean by Xiao Yi wasn't Xiao Chen and Qing Yao Yao was Qing Menjiang? How was that possible? Did Ling Qianxue still have a hangover? Even though I drank too much last night, I vaguely saw Qing Yao Yao's face change a little. It seemed to have turned into Qing Menjiang. I don't know what happened either. Ling Qianxue said weakly. Xiao Chen and Qing Menjiang thought about this for a long time before confirming that Ling Qianxue was telling the truth. She had received professional training in all aspects when she was in the Sakura group. Even though she couldn't say that she could trick people easily, it wasn't a problem to fool Xing. Oh. Hearing Ling Qianxue's words, Lady Xing suddenly remembered something. Last night, when she was waiting at the hotel entrance, there was a moment when she noticed that Qing Yao Yao's face didn't look right. It was blurry and he couldn't see it clearly. At that time she wanted to take a closer look, but Xiao Yi left Ling Qianxue in the lobby and brought Qing Yao Yao up first. At that time little girl Xing was puzzled. What was Xiao Yi's goal? Why don't we go up together? Thinking of this, Miss Xing subconsciously guessed that these two people were really Xiao Chen and Qing Menjiang. Was it because Xiao Chen hid it so well that she couldn't see through it? How about this? Qianxue, during this period of time, your mission is to continue seducing Xiao Yi. You must get some real information from him. Xing Yu could not figure it out no matter how she thought about it, so she could only say helplessly, yes. Ling Qianxue agreed and secretly let out a sigh of relief. It seemed that she had muddled through, and young Master Xing shouldn't have found any clues. On the other hand, little girl Xing was deep in thought. How strange. This damn Xiao Chen is too cunning. If it's you, you should just admit it. That way I can help Ma Baixia when he attacks you and not let him kill you. Now that you don't say anything, how would I know who you are? But little girl Xing didn't know that with Xiao Chen's current strength, even if Ma Baixia came looking for him, he still had the strength to fight. If the two of them fought, it was really hard to say who would win, so there was no need for her help at all. Ma Baixia had been bitten by invincible dog. After he ran back to the sect, not only did he spend more than a month to recover, his strength was greatly reduced, and his cultivation dropped by a lot. Right now he was busy training in seclusion. Every day he had to worry about whether other martial arts sects would come looking for him and steal his resources while his strength was greatly reduced. How could he have the time to care about Xiao Chen's life or death? That night, the proud and elated Du Rongwei specially invited Red and the two ninjas to a banquet. They had a sumptuous meal at a luxurious hotel and then went to a sauna. He even found a few high-quality prostitutes to serve them. Until late at night, everyone comfortably returned to the extreme karate dojo at the student market. Just as they parked the car, they noticed something was wrong. They saw that the karate dojo was brightly lit, and on the sofa in the hall sat a man and a woman. The man looked ordinary and his legs were crossed. The woman was quite beautiful, but she also had an impatient look on her face. Everyone looked at each other in confusion. Before coming out, they clearly locked the door. How did these two people get in? After listening to Du Rongwei and the middle-aged ninja's praises today, the young ninja's confidence in the karate dojo was unprecedentedly high. He swaggered over and asked condescendingly, "Are you here to sign up to learn karate? Our business hours are over. Come back tomorrow with your tuition fees." Second master, wait. Du Rongwei didn't drink because he had to drive, so he was still sober. He trotted over and pulled the young ninja. He said softly, "These two people suddenly appeared in our dojo and broke our door. They definitely don't have good intentions." What are you guys doing? Redhead also heard Du Rongwei's words and nodded his head in deep thought. He walked in front of Xiaoqin with a mouth full of the smell of alcohol and shouted with an unclear voice, "You two have quite the guts. How dare you break into my karate dojo? Are you King tired of living? Oh, I thought it was some otherworldly master. So it's you again, you little bastard." Xiaoqin stood up with a surprised expression. He really didn't expect the owner of this karate dojo to be Red Hair. Among the three people behind him, weren't two of them Ling Qinshua's ninjas? Why did these idiots come to Lan City as well? The other one didn't look old and his right hand was wrapped in a white cloth. He must be Du Rongwei, whose hand was broken by Wang Jingtian. We're here to challenge your dojo. Don't talk nonsense. Do you dare to accept our challenge? Cheng Minjing also stood up. She clenched her fist and waved it in the air. She and Xiaoqin had already transformed into another person, but she had purposely transformed her face into that of a beautiful woman. This way she would feel a little better. Little girl, look at you, you're fair and clean and you're quite pretty, but your tone is pretty big. The middle-aged ninja's eyes lit up when he saw Cheng Minjing. He felt that this little girl was much prettier than the girls just now. His lower abdomen couldn't help but feel hot. He walked over with a lewd smile and reached out his hand to take advantage of her. He continued to tease her, "You're a girl. Isn't it bad to fight and kill? How about this, you accompany us for a night? I promise I can make you want to die. How about that?" "You pervert. Cheng Minjing looked at the lewd face that was getting bigger and bigger in front of her. She couldn't help but get angry. She dodged the middle-aged ninja's perverted hand and quickly channeled her mental cultivation to fully display the strength of Demon King Level 1. She slammed her palm heavily on the middle-aged ninja's chest. Boom! The middle-aged ninja was so drunk that he didn't even have time to react before he was sent flying by Cheng Minjing. He directly crashed into Du Rongwei's car outside the door, causing a large dent in the car. The middle-aged ninja spat out a mouthful of blood and slid down from the car like mud. He didn't move at all. He was obviously dead. You're Demon King Level 1? Looking at the big hole in the middle-aged man's chest, the young ninja instantly woke up from his drunken state. He was so scared that his legs went soft. He didn't know what to do and couldn't even speak clearly. The red-haired guy and Du Rongwei on the side were also shocked. Although they weren't cultivators, they heard from the two ninjas how the strength of people in the martial arts world was divided. The young ninja just said that the little girl was actually Demon King Level 1. As a matter of fact, a Demon King level master was like a god to ordinary people like them. "Miss, as the saying goes, don't use a butcher's knife to kill a chicken. You're too heavy-handed. You don't even need to use your energy to deal with this kind of inner strength level 5 trash. You just need to push him lightly," Xiaoqin said lightly. Originally, he only planned to teach the red-haired guy a lesson and let them suffer a little. He didn't expect the miss to use a killer move as soon as she made her move. Then why didn't you say so earlier? When Cheng Minjing saw that the middle-aged ninja was dead, she was instantly scared silly. She didn't have any fighting experience and didn't know how to hold back, so she used her full strength the moment she made a move. Hearing what Xiaoqin said, she was at a loss and asked, "Xiaoqin, what should I do now?" "I killed someone. Will the police arrest me? Will I be sentenced to death? Don't just stand there like a fool. Help me think of a way." "You didn't ask me just now." Looking at the Mrs. Panicked look, Xiaoqin was angry and amused at the same time. He shook his head helplessly and comforted her softly, "Don't worry too much. I've killed so many people before and I'm still fine. Besides, don't forget that your face is an illusion. Even if the police call, they won't be able to recognize you. Besides, the martial arts world has its own rules." "Oh yes. Cheng Minjing nodded repeatedly and breathed a sigh of relief. She almost forgot that she didn't show her real face. Looking at the middle-aged ninja lying in a pool of blood, she mentally prepared herself again. Well, it's okay. Anyway, he's a heinous bad guy. If he's dead, then he's dead. It's no big deal. Xiaoqin almost laughed out loud when he heard this. The miss was really funny. She didn't act like this when he killed someone for the first time. Cheng Minjing finished mentally preparing herself and then asked, "Then what should we do next? Should we teach them another lesson?" "What? Are you addicted to fighting? Didn't you see that they're scared like dogs? Now we just need to go over and pretend." Looking at the miss who was eager to fight, Xiaoqin didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Chapter 9-10. Cheng Minjing was stunned. Before she could react, Xiaoqin released a powerful pressure and walked over slowly. He looked at Redhead and the others with disdain and said, "Brat, do you know how powerful we are now? Do you have any more questions?" Hero. Heroine. I Redhead am convinced. If you have any requests, feel free to state them. As long as you spare my life, I will agree to anything you want. Even if you want me to be your godson. Redhead said while trembling. He was already out of breath from the intense pressure. He was already half sober. His legs turned to jelly, and he was about to kneel down and call for his father. Forget it. We will have a dozen sons of our own. We don't need a retard or a moron to join us. Xiaoqin used a bit of force and Redhead felt like he was being supported. He couldn't kneel down no matter what. Redhead's face turned pale when he saw Xiaoqin's refusal. His whole body trembled as he was afraid that Xiaoqin would kill him. Xiaoqin didn't care what Redhead was thinking. He casually patted his shoulder and said calmly, "Our request is simple. As long as you hand over the tuition fees that this crappy karate dojo has earned recently, compensate Wang Jingtian 1,800,000 for his medical fees, and be responsible for all his expenses from now until he fully recovers, then hand this karate dojo over to Lan City University's martial arts club's president, Dong Jiqi." Originally, Xiaoqin planned to scam Redhead for a sum of money. However, before he spoke, he suddenly remembered that the school's martial arts club needed a place to recruit students. Thus, he changed his mind and settled Wang Jingtian's medical fees as well. Wang Jingtian? Dong Jiqi? Redhead was stunned. He was a little confused. The former's name sounded familiar, but he had never heard of the latter. Could it be that he was even more powerful than this guy in front of him? You're Wang Jingtian's friends? Du Rongwei finally came to a realization. His intestines turned green with regret. This man and woman were here to support Wang Jingtian. If he knew that Wang Jingtian had such a powerful backer, he wouldn't have agreed to the middle-aged ninja's request. He had suffered a double loss. Sigh. Ding dong. You guessed it right, but there's no reward. Xiaoqin didn't deny it. Instead, he glanced at them coldly and said, "I'll give you 2 days to complete the tasks I've given you. If I find out that you dare to run away, then the consequences will be the same as this car." Boom. Xiaoqin casually pushed his palm towards Du Rongwei's car. After a loud bang, a cloud of smoke rose up. When the smoke dissipated, the car that was originally dented had turned into a pile of scrap metal. "We'll definitely do as you say. Don't worry, great hero." Red Hair was dumbfounded as he looked at this scene. He felt a chill run down his spine and his legs trembled. He was so scared that he almost peed his pants. "That's good. Then we'll be leaving. Take care of yourselves." Xiaoqin called out to Cheng Menjing and walked out. Seeing Xiaoqin and Cheng Menjing finally leave, their figures disappearing into the darkness, Du Rongwei shuddered in hindsight. He asked weakly, "Big brother Red Fur, what should we do now? Hurry up and think of something." Slap. Red Hair jumped up and slapped Du Rongwei's face. He scolded angrily, "Motherf asterisk cur. It's all because you've recklessly gone around stirring up trouble, causing me such a huge disaster. What else can I do? Of course we'll do as that great hero says." Du Rongwei covered his swollen face and opened his mouth. In the end he closed it gloomily. Red Hair was right. He was the one who caused this. He couldn't defend himself no matter what. "Since you're the one who caused the trouble, then you'll pay for the medical fees. Also, you'll have to compensate me with the original price of this shop. Otherwise, I'll kill you." Red Hair flew into a rage and shouted at Du Rongwei. Du Rongwei didn't say a word. He was helpless and sullen, but he could only swallow his anger. Now he had to pay for it. Who asked him to provoke someone he shouldn't have? Red Hair was also unwilling. He thought he could rely on his brain and the martial arts skills of the two ninjas to earn some money. In the end, he lost his backer in the blink of an eye. Could it be that he had to return to Songning City and do his old business of collecting protection fees? When Xiaoqin and Cheng Menjing returned to school, it was already late at night. Their dormitory had already been locked, so they couldn't enter. Helplessly, they could only go to a nearby express hotel and get a room for dual cultivation. Although they were dual cultivation for the whole night, until the next morning, Xiaoqian's strength didn't advance any further. On the contrary, Cheng Menjing successfully advanced to the peak of the second level of the Golden Core stage. This made Xiaoqin somewhat depressed. He thought he could smoothly break through to the 10th level of the Golden Core stage, but he didn't expect to be stuck halfway and unable to break through no matter what. "Elder Heaven Ancestor, is there something wrong with me? Why can't I advance as fast as before?" On the way back to school, the more Xiaoqin thought about it, the more he felt that something was wrong. He could only seek help from the elder heaven ancestor in his mind. There's something wrong with you. To Xiao Chen's surprise, the elder heaven ancestor actually agreed with his statement. No way? Is there really one? What's the problem? Can it be solved? I won't be stuck here, right? Xiao Chen suddenly became anxious and asked repeatedly. There's something wrong with your brain. The elder heaven ancestor angrily reprimanded him and said, it hasn't even been a month and you've already advanced from the 2nd level of the golden core stage to the 9th level of the golden core stage. What's wrong? Don't you feel satisfied? You should know that I didn't advance as fast as you back then. Don't be greedy like a snake trying to swallow an elephant. Xiao Chen almost spat out. What kind of answer was that? Was it wrong for him to advance quickly? Rubbing his nose helplessly, Xiao Chen put on a thick face and asked, Elder Celestial, that, other than dual cultivation, spirit jades and natural treasures, are there any other ways to quickly increase one's strength? There is. It's by using top-grade medicinal pills. But with your current strength, I don't think you can get such treasures. The elder heaven ancestor replied indifferently. Xiao Chen was somewhat speechless. Not to mention the top-grade medicinal pills, he didn't even have the money to buy those medicinal pills. Don't you still have some demonic qi in your body? You can just refine it. Recently, when you and Qing Menjing dual cultivated, you only used primordial qi. You haven't touched the demonic qi at all. As if sensing Xiao Chen's embarrassment, the elder heaven ancestor kindly reminded him. That's right. How could I forget about this? I'll try it later. While Xiao Chen was still thinking about it, he suddenly felt someone pat his shoulder. Xiao Chen turned his head and saw that it was the 2 girls, Tian Suruan and Su Chuxia. Oh heyo. Student Xiao Yi, what a coincidence. You look good today. Is it because you saw Sister Suruan? Tian Suruan said with a smile. She and Su Chuxia had just run out of the school to eat breakfast when they saw Xiao Chen and Qing Menjing. Although Jia Muzhen wasn't there, Tian Suruan happened to be looking for Xiao Chen for help, so she quickly followed them. What do you want? Jia Muzhen isn't with me. Go find him in the ancient martial arts classroom. Xiao Chen frowned and said straightforwardly. Every time Tian Suruan came looking for him with a cheeky smile, it was definitely nothing good. If it wasn't for him to treat Sister Suruan to a meal, it was to find out about Jia Muzhen's whereabouts in a roundabout way. Of course, Xiao Chen was actually quite willing to treat her. However, the young mistress had just accepted Ling Qinshu as reality. If she brought up Tian Suruan again, even Xiao Chen would feel embarrassed. Oh, Sister Suruan isn't looking for that 4-eyed guy this time. She's looking for you. Tian Suruan winked mysteriously and said softly. Why are you looking for me? I don't sell my skills or my body. The famous grass already has an owner, so there's no need to loosen the soil. Xiao Chen casually said as he pulled Qing Menjing forward. Tisk, do you think Sister Suruan likes you? I just want to ask you a few questions. Tian Suruan rolled her eyes. What questions? If it's about academics, then don't waste your time. I'm just a slacker. Xiao Chen shrugged his shoulders and looked at Tian Suru innocently. Although my girlfriend is a prodigy, she doesn't have the time to deal with your trivial matters. So you should just hurry up and play EGGGO. EGGGO? What does that mean? Tian Suruan was stunned. She looked at Su Chuxia and found that she was also confused. She couldn't understand what English Xiao Chen was speaking. It means to play EGGGO. You can't even understand such simple English. Looks like you're a slacker like me. Xiao Chen mocked. Tian Suruan almost spat out. Su Chuxia also couldn't help but laugh. She didn't expect English to be so straightforward. Only a slacker like Xiao Yi could understand it. Stop fooling around. Sister Suruan really has something serious to ask you. After laughing for a while, Tian Suruan retracted her expression and said seriously. Go ahead. Xiao Chen nodded. He wanted to hear what Tian Suruan wanted to talk to him about. Aren't you going to treat Sister Suruan to breakfast? I'm still hungry. I don't have the energy to stand and chat. Tian Suruan's expression changed. She held her stomach and said pitifully. She looked at Xiao Chen with a face full of grievance. I say, classmate Tian, you're the one who wants to ask me questions. Do I have to treat you to breakfast? Don't tell me you're here to make fun of me? Xiao Chen cast a sidelong glance at Tian, souring in annoyance. As expected, this girl could not be serious for more than 3 seconds, and she immediately exposed herself. Sigh. Tian Suruan let out a long sigh. She pouted and said, losers really can't do it. It's a rare opportunity to have breakfast with the goddess of the masses, Sister Suruan. You don't know how to grasp it. Maybe if you're generous, you can capture Sister Suruan's heart. Chapter 9:11. Oh, I'm sorry. I already have a girlfriend and I know my place. So, do you have something to say or not? If there's nothing to say, then move aside. Don't block my way to class. Xiaoqun ignored Tian Xiaoring's sigh. He felt helpless. This Tian Xiaoring was too much. If she wanted a free meal, just say it. Why did she have to waste so much time? Qing Minjing couldn't hold it in anymore. She glared at Tian Xiaoring and said, "That's right. Why are you looking for Xiaoyi? Hurry up and say it. We don't have time to chat with you. If you're late again, Xiaoyi will be punished to stand in the hallway again." She had never liked Tian Xiaoring. She had a feeling that this girl seemed to have something going on with Xiaoqun. She was also worried that Xiaoqun would say too much and accidentally expose himself. Hey, don't be like that. Let's talk about it. Big Sister Xiaoring will treat us. When Tian Suruan saw that Xiaoqun and Xiao Luo were really going to leave, he hurriedly blocked their path and spoke with a pained expression. Xiaoqun looked at the reluctant Tian Xiaoring suspiciously. "Did I hear that right? You said you're treating us? Did the sun rise from the west today?" Since Tian Xiaoring said it was her treat, she didn't argue anymore. She pointed to the breakfast shop beside the school and said, "Let's go there and eat. We can talk while we eat." Although she was a little reluctant, Tian Xiaoring endured the pain and decided to spend some money to achieve her goal. Fortunately, the breakfast shop beside the school wasn't too expensive. Even if the four of them ate, it wouldn't cost much. "Oh, that's more like it. Since you invited us so warmly, let's go." Seeing that Tian Xiaoring really wanted to treat them, Xiaoqun happily agreed. Then he pulled Qing Minjing to the breakfast shop. Tian Xiaoring and Su Chuxiao followed behind them. The moment his butt touched the stool, Xiaoqun quickly ordered a lot of pastries. He even ordered a few bowls of tofu pudding and soy milk. Recently, Xiaoqun's energy consumption was much greater than usual due to his frequent dual cultivation, so his appetite had also increased sharply. He stared dumbfoundedly at the food Xiaoqun had ordered, then turned to look at the price list. Tian Soran felt his heart ache. It was as if the money in his wallet had grown wings, flying into the breakfast shop owner's pocket one after another. All right, let's order these for now. Sister Saori and Chuxiao are on a diet, so they usually eat very little. If they don't have enough, we can add more." Seeing that Xiaoqun was about to order more, Tian Saori quickly stopped him. If he were to continue, he would lose his life here today. "Oh, all right. Then tell me, what questions do you have for me?" Xiaoqun asked vaguely as he stopped, then grabbed a few meat buns and stuffed them into his mouth. "Actually, Sister Sour wants to know if Jia Muzin has any unusual behavior?" Tian Sour thought for a moment and asked, "What kind of abnormal behavior? Does playing games in the dormitory count? Or do you want to watch a video and do it yourself?" Xiaoqun asked innocently. Ahem, for example, did he mention any sex when he was on the phone? Families? Or martial artists, generals, or anything like that? Tian Yogurt gulped down his tofu pudding. He seemed to be asking casually, but his eyes were fixed on Xiaoqun. I don't quite understand. Jia Muzin doesn't know folk art like lion dance, does he? He doesn't look like a performer. As for that dance sauce, what is it? Is it something like sweet sauce or hot and sour sauce? Xiaoqun thought for a moment and asked doubtfully. He was getting more and more confused. What was Tian Sour trying to do? Why was she investigating these things? She didn't have any cultivation, right? Pfft. The tofu pudding in Tian Sour's mouth sprayed out. She was sitting in front of Xiaoqun, so she sprayed it all over his face. She immediately felt embarrassed and passed a napkin over. Xiaoqun was speechless. He took the napkin and wiped the tofu pudding and soup off his face. He couldn't hold it against Tian Sour for his own sins. He could only accept his bad luck. Tian Sour said awkwardly, "Io, don't ask so much. Even if you know, it's still an illness. Just tell me if you have it or not." Xiaoqun frowned and tried to recall carefully. Jia Muzin really didn't say those things in front of him. He shook his head and said, "I really don't. Other than attending classes in the classroom, he's reading and playing games in the dormitory every day. He doesn't do anything else." "Really?" Tian Sour was a little doubtful and had a look of disbelief. "What, steamed or boiled? It's up to you whether you believe it or not. If you don't believe it, then forget it." Xiaoqun rewarded Tian Sour with a big forehead and lowered his head to eat his porridge. Tian Sour pouted and looked at Qing Yaoyao, who was drinking soy milk. She smiled evilly and said, "Sister Sour really doesn't believe it. You only know how to take your girlfriend out to get a room. I don't think you've had any contact with Jia Muzin, right? Why are you asking me if you know? Aren't you just looking for trouble? Xiao Qin said in a bad mood. This. Tian Sour was really at her wit's end. She hesitated for a while and said sneakily, Aya, how about this? Help Sister Sour keep an eye out. If Jia Muzin says those things or indirectly mentions Sister Sour, tell me later. Sister Sour will give you a big reward. After saying that, Tian Sour threw a flirtatious look at Xiao Qin and put on a seductive expression. Qing Minjing was furious. Oh, what reward? If it's something too ordinary, I won't be interested in it. If it's something too expensive, you won't be able to afford it. Why do I feel like you're tricking me? Xiao Qin said lazily as he rubbed his chin with a disinterested expression. Aya, you're really something. Why do you need Sister Sour to say it so clearly? It's more romantic if you're a little more mysterious. Tian Sour cleared her throat and said deliberately. No, I'm timid. I don't like things that are too mysterious. Just tell me directly. Xiao Qin shook his head. He looked like he wouldn't help if Tian Sour didn't want to ask. Tian Sour couldn't dissuade Xiao Qin. She rolled her eyes and moved closer to him. She lowered her voice and said, Ahem, if you successfully get the information, then Sister Sour can reward you with a set of my underwear and underwear. If you want Su Chuxia's, Sister Sour can get it for you. How about that? Sister Sour is a good friend, right? This was the idea that Tian Sour had just thought of. She planned to go online and buy some cheap underwear and underwear for Xiao Qin. Anyway, he was a poor loser. He wouldn't be able to see anything. Who knows, he might even be excited to death. She could bring it back and treasure it. Chapter 9:12. Xiao Qin was stunned. It took him a while to react. What the heck, what do I need these things for? It's not like I can eat them. Is there something wrong with your brain? You don't understand. When you miss Sister Sour or Chuxia, you can use those things to do it. Tian Sour inculcated. Aren't all the losers on the internet like that? Also, there are those who wear underwear on their faces. They say it can increase their taste. After saying that, Tian Sour raised her eyebrows at Xiao Qin, giving him a you-know look. Cough. Xiao Qin had just swallowed a piece of flatbread when he suddenly heard Tian Sour's explosive words. He choked and almost couldn't speak. After a long time, he finally recovered and gave Tian Sour a thumbs up. I didn't expect you to be so knowledgeable. I'm impressed. Although he said that, Xiao Qin was actually very gloomy in his heart. He didn't expect that this stupid girl Tian Suruan not only treated him as a pure loser, but also thought that he was a super pervert who liked to collect beautiful women's underwear and underwear. Of course, Tian Sour proudly stuck out her chest after receiving the compliment. The two bunnies on her chest suddenly shook. Xiao Qin sat opposite her and happened to see this scene. This unconscious flirtatious scene made him swallow his saliva uncontrollably. Ouch! A sharp pain suddenly came from his waist. Xiao Qin felt that the soft flesh on his waist had been pinched by the missy. He quickly retracted his gaze and laughed dryly. Then you have to tell me, why are you asking these questions? I can only help you if you answer me. After all, Jia Muzin and I are good roommates and gay friends. I can't do something like investigating him behind his back. What if you want to harm him? How is that possible? Sister Sour definitely can't harm him. Look at Sister Sour's flawless and beautiful face. You should know that I'm not a bad person. Everyone says that pretty girls are basically good people. Tian sourly and narcissistically posed in a pose commonly used by girls to take selfies and vowed. Why haven't I heard of this before? And it's hard to say. Look at you, you're always so mysterious. Xiao Qin was retorting when Tian Soran subconsciously looked outside the door. Suddenly his expression changed. He bent down and crawled under the table. Xiao Qin was shocked. He didn't know what was wrong with Tian Suruan again. He asked with a puzzled expression, "What are you doing? We were talking nicely here, so why did he slip away like that? I don't need any special services. Hurry up, stand up." Su Chuxia and Qing Minjing were also stunned. They looked at each other in confusion. Su Chuxia lowered her head and looked under the table. She wanted to ask Tian Suruan what was going on, but he kept waving his hands. "What are you doing? There's no money on the floor to pick up." Before Xiao Qin could finish his sentence, he heard Tian Suruan whisper, "Shu." Su Chuxia saw Tian Suruan squatting under the table and pressing his index finger to his lips. He kept shushing them, signaling everyone to be quiet. "Stop shushing. Are you going to the toilet?" Be careful that I don't pee on your face. Xiao Chen shook his body. Don't talk. Tian Suruan was really anxious now. He lowered his voice and shouted. Why was this Xiao Chen so blind? Although he was a little puzzled, Xiao Chen looked down and saw Tian Suruan's eyes staring at the door, as if he was observing someone. It was not convenient for Xiao Chen to look back, so he quietly released his divine sense and followed Tian Suruan's gaze to observe the movement outside the door. After searching for a while, Xiao Chen suddenly discovered that there were two adepts in ancient attire looking left and right not far from the entrance of the breakfast shop. Judging from the weak aura they emitted, Xiao Chen was sure that they were martial general level experts, and they seemed to be looking for someone. Something stirred in Xiao Chen's heart. He used his divine sense to listen to what they were saying. Senior brother Heiyu, this should be the place, right? According to the information provided by the higher-ups, the person we're looking for should be in Lan City's university. This should be Lan City University. A younger-looking cultivator asked the older cultivator beside him, holding a rolled-up piece of Shen paper in his hand. He glanced at Lan City University's gate and looked at it. Yes, Lan City's university should be Lan City University. Heiyu nodded in a serious manner. He looked around and saw that there were students going to class one after another. He said to the young cultivator, Junior Martial Brother Bai Chi, go find a few students and ask them. See if you can find out anything. All right. Bai Chi nodded and looked around. He immediately locked onto his target and walked over to a group of male students. He patted one of them on the shoulder and asked, Hey, fellow student, let me ask around. Have you guys seen this person before? As he spoke, Bai Chi unfolded the Shen paper in his hand. There was a vivid and lifelike drawing of a little girl on it. She looked rather cute. Xiao Chen examined the drawing with his divine sense from afar and was immediately shocked. Wasn't the person in the drawing Tian Suruan? Why would these two cultivators have a drawing of her? Although the Tian Suruan in the drawing looked a little young and had a very fair complexion, unlike the wheat-colored one she was now, it wasn't the first day that Xiao Chen and Tian Suruan had known each other. They were very familiar with each other, so he recognized the drawing at first glance. No wonder Tian Suruan was in such a hurry to hide. It turned out that these people were looking for her. But why were they looking for her? Could it be that her family was related to a sect in the martial arts world? After thinking about it, Xiao Chen realized that this was indeed a possibility. In the past, when he was with Tian Suruan, he had never heard her mention anything about her family. Sometimes, when Xiao Chen accidentally asked about it, Tian Suruan would either feign ignorance or make up a random story to fool him. In the end, the story would always be different. At that time, Xiao Chen didn't pay much attention to it. He thought that Tian Suruan was just playing around and spouting nonsense. But now Xiao Chen couldn't help but feel a little suspicious. If Tian Suruan's family was really from the martial arts world, then her repeated attempts to find out about Jia Muzin's background would be a little tricky. Moreover, she had also mentioned sects and martial generals. Could it be that Jia Muzin's family was also from the martial arts world? At this thought, Xiao Chen's heart tightened. If that was really the case, then shouldn't he be on guard against Jia Muzin? Perhaps both his and Tian Suruan's families were related to the Kuei Mountain sect. They might even be affiliated families. Chapter 9:13. I've never seen it before. Although many thoughts flashed through Xiao Chen's mind, it only lasted for a moment. Just as Xiao Chen was pondering, he saw the students take a quick look at the portrait and shake their heads. That's right. Bai Chi asked a few more people. Those students were all rushing to class. They took a quick glance at the portrait and said they didn't recognize it. Some of them didn't even look at it and quickly ran away. Bai Chi didn't know if they thought he was an advertisement seller. Senior Heiyu, I don't think this will work. Let's not talk about whether these university students looked at it seriously. Even if they did, they might not recognize it. After all, this school looks very big and this portrait is from a few years ago. God knows what she looks like now. After running into a wall several times, Bai Chi turned around and asked Heiyu helplessly. That's true. Heiyu nodded in agreement. After thinking for a while, he said, I think, why don't we look for the local bullies or people from the streets? They're more well-informed and it'll be easier for us to find people. Senior brother's idea is good. Then let's take a look around. There's no point in staying here. Bai Chi expressed his agreement. He kept the portrait and followed Heiyu to the nearby student market. Watching the two cultivators walk further and further away from the breakfast shop, Tian Suruan finally heaved a sigh of relief and crawled out from under the table. However, she still stared at the back of the two cultivators in shock. afraid that they would suddenly turn around and see her. Xiaochen also collected his thoughts and smiled silently. He felt that his imagination just now was a little too wild. After all, whether it was the disciples of the inner or outer martial arts sects, it was not easy for them to come to the secular world. Not to mention staying here for a few years and studying and getting into a university. Moreover, Tian Suruan's accent was obviously Lan City's. She must have grown up in Lan City. It was even more impossible for her to be from a martial arts family. Xiaochen thought to himself. Perhaps Tian Suruan or her family had offended someone in the martial arts world. That was why the two cultivators wanted to seek revenge on her. It seemed that he should find a time to ask her properly. "Oh my, you scared Sister Sour to death." No, Sister Sour has to find a washroom to relieve herself. Otherwise I'll leak out." Tian Souring propped himself up and said to Su Chuxia with a trembling voice, "Chuxia, wait for me for a while. I need to go to the washroom. I'll be right back." "Alright, hurry up. Class is about to start." Su Chuxia nodded. She had a rough idea of what was going on with Tian Suruan, but with Xiao Yi and Qing Yaoyao around she couldn't ask too much. She could only pretend that Tian Suruan was just being surprised. "I think I drank too much tofu pudding. I need to use the restroom too." Xiao Qin hurriedly said a few words to Qing Minjing when he saw Tian Suruan run off. Then he followed him. He planned to wait for Tian Suruan to come out before asking him about the situation. Qing Minjing stared at Xiao Chen's back suspiciously. She was a little unhappy. "Damn you, Xiao Chen. You're just trying to flirt with Tian Suruan. You're the one with the problem. You're the one with the problem." However, Missy only grumbled in her heart. She did not stop Xiao Chen from going. Tian Suruan's words made her suspicious as well. She was also guessing if Tian Suruan was a disciple of a martial arts sect. After all, Tian Suruan's behavior was very abnormal. That was why Missy allowed Xiao Chen to test the waters. "Hey, I'm talking to you. Hand over the monthly stipend, and this place will be under Brother Redhair's protection from now on." In the student bazaar, a young ninja kicked a stall by the roadside and shouted fiercely, "Did you hear that? If you want to set up a stall here from now on, you'll have to pay a protection fee of 2,000 every month. If you refuse a toast only to drink a forfeit. I'll beat you up every time I see you." Behind the young ninja with an arrogant face, two people swaggered behind. One was Red Hair and the other was Du Rongwei. After Red Hair lost his income, he wanted to return to Songning City with his tail between his legs. After all, there were still some underlings and connections there that could help him with his business. However, he considered that he had suffered losses in the hands of the Youqiao seller. If he returned, he might be trampled on a few more times. Therefore he gave up on the idea. Therefore he brought along the young ninja and Du Rongwei to do what they used to do. They prepared to collect protection fees from the student bazaar. The reason why Du Rongwei followed behind Red Hair was that after he compensated Wang Jingtian with a sizable amount of medical fees, he was extremely poor in a short period of time. He had no money to compensate Red Hair for a shop. Originally, Du Rongwei wanted to ask for help from his family. However, after his elders found out about this matter, they were furious. They thought that Du Rongwei's life wouldn't be in danger for a while, so they told him to solve it himself. Therefore Du Rongwei had no choice but to be Red Hair's underling. However, there was an advantage to being an underling. It was that he could continue to learn karate from the young ninja. Du Rongwei weighed the pros and cons and was willing to follow Red Hair. The student bazaar itself had a market management office. Under normal circumstances, ordinary gangsters wouldn't be able to enter. The public security was considered perfect. However, the young ninja just went to the management office, and then simply stepped on an iron chair, turning it into a discus. The managers and security guards didn't dare to make a sound and could only let them collect money. What a joke. Who dared to go up and stop them? What if they were also stomped into a meat patty? Anyway, they were all working for the boss. As long as the rent wasn't bad, they could do whatever they wanted. Ugh. With the young ninja's scare, the small vendors didn't know what to do. They looked at each other with fear and hesitation. The money they usually earned was from the students. It was a small profit but quick turnover. To them, 2,000 yuan would take half a month of hard work to earn. After deducting the stall fees and purchase fees, it was basically a month's profit. If they gave it away just like that, how could they make a living? However, looking at the fiendish expressions of these people, it seemed like this matter wouldn't end well if they didn't hand over the money today. The vendors couldn't help but groan inwardly. Some of them were students from poor families in Lanqing University. They originally wanted to set up a stall when they didn't have classes to share some of the pressure at home. They didn't expect to meet Red Hair's group of people. A few students felt that the young ninja didn't seem to notice them. They signaled each other with their eyes and were about to bend down and slip away. However, they were caught by Red Hair. Chapter 9:14. Motherf *Ker, you guys still dare to run? The red-haired guy stepped forward and grabbed one of the students. He was planning to use him to establish his dominance, but before he could prepare his lines, he felt someone pat his shoulder. Brat, are you the manager of this area? We have something to talk to you about. The red-haired guy was stunned. Before he could react, he heard a cold voice coming from behind him. Motherf *Ker, I'm trying to establish my dominance. Who dares to mess things up? The red-haired guy turned around unhappily and saw two people in ancient clothes standing in front of him. They were Bai Chi and Heiyu. Originally, they wanted to walk around the student market to see if they could find help, but they happened to see the red-haired guy and the others collecting protection fees. The two of them were overjoyed. Aren't they the local tyrants? They quickly walked up and wanted to have a chat with the red-haired guy. The red-haired guy looked them up and down. He thought they were small vendors who set up stalls nearby, so he scolded them impatiently. Motherf *Ker, why are you looking for me? If you want to pay up, hurry up. Don't think you can scare me with a few cosplay outfits. Bai Chi saw that the guy was arrogant and didn't care about them at all. He could not help but snort coldly. He directly activated his cultivation method and displayed the strength of a peak level 4 martial general. He released waves of suppression toward the red-haired guy. The red-haired guy immediately felt a sense of suppression coming from all directions. His limbs instantly became very heavy. This made his expression change. He looked at the young ninja with a pleading gaze. You're a peak level 4 martial general. The young ninja saw this scene and was instantly scared silly. What's going on? How did he encounter so many experts? Isn't this too unlucky? Although Bai Chi's suppression was not as powerful as Xiao Chen's, it still scared the red-haired guy. When he heard the young ninja mention his opponent's strength, he was so scared that his legs turned to jelly. He turned his body with difficulty and wanted to escape. Do you think you can escape? Come here, I have something to ask you. Bai Chi carried Red Hair into an alley on the side like he was carrying a puppy. Heiyu, on the other hand, pointed at Du Rongwei and the young ninja, signaling them to go with him. The two of them really didn't want to go over, but their strength was inferior to the other party, so they could only follow him in with bitter faces. As for the peddlers who set up the stalls, they all heaved a sigh of relief when they saw Redhead and the others being taken away by someone more powerful. Although they didn't know what had happened, the peddlers had a strong sense of danger. They took the opportunity to pack their things and escape. Otherwise, they wouldn't be able to escape if Red Hair came back to find trouble with them. This big brother, what instructions do you have for this little brother? As long as I can do it, I will not shirk my duty even if I have to climb a mountain of daggers or swim through a sea of flames. Red Hair, who was brought into the alley, saw that the other party didn't harm him. For a moment he couldn't guess their intentions and could only ask in a probing manner. It couldn't be helped. The other party's strength was there for all to see. If he didn't act like a coward now, when would he? Bai Chi couldn't be bothered with Red Hair's fawning and said coldly, "It's very simple. Help us find someone and after it's done, we'll give you a sum of money. It'll be enough for you to live happily for a few months." You've calculated it. This little brother is best at finding people. Don't worry, great hero, leave it to me. Red Hair couldn't help but be overjoyed when he heard this. He patted his chest and guaranteed. This was a good thing. Who wouldn't be willing to do this kind of easy and non-dangerous thing? After thinking for a moment, Red Hair asked again, "May I know who you're looking for, great hero? Do you have any proof or clues that you can provide?" Bai Chi nodded and took out the portrait. He pointed at the person on it and said, "According to what we know, this person is currently studying at Lon City University. Your mission is to find her and inform us immediately, understand?" Red Hair carefully looked at the portrait. His expression was a little hesitant as he stammered, "Great hero, this is a little difficult. The information you provided is only this portrait? Nothing else? If that's the case, it'll be very difficult to find her. Can you provide me with more detailed information?" "Don't talk so much nonsense. Knowing too much won't do you any good." Bai Chi glared at Red Hair. Heiyu frowned and asked, "Didn't you just say that finding people is your strong point? Why can't we find them now?" "Don't talk nonsense, we'll pay." "Oh, of course we'll pay, but the problem is, you know how women nowadays are. After they put on makeup, even their own mothers might not recognize them. Red Hair pointed at the portrait again and said, "Also, the girl in this portrait looks quite young. Now that you said she's already in university, she must have changed quite a bit. What if she goes for plastic surgery? This difficulty?" Before Red Hair could finish his sentence, Hayu interrupted him. "Then what do you want to do? Can you find her or not? If you can't, just say the word and we'll find someone else immediately." Hayu impatiently waved his hand and said with a sullen face, Great hero, you can't say it like that. You know, after all, finding someone requires a lot of money. Do you think you can give us an advance payment or something?" Du Rongwei knew Red Hair's personality better, so he simply said it for him. "What if we find the person and you don't want to pay up? How are we going to reason with them?" "Oh, I need money." Hayu suddenly realized and glanced at Red Hair. "You're really something. You should have said it earlier if you wanted money. Why did you say so much nonsense? The people in the secular world are really troublesome." After saying that, Hayu took out a few thick stacks of cash from his bag. It looked like there were more than 100,000 yuan and directly handed it to Red Hair. "Here, there's 150,000 yuan. I've already given you the money. You better hurry up and get to work. When we find the person, we'll reward you handsomely." Okay, no problem. We'll go get the people now. Great hero, just wait and see. We definitely won't waste your time." Du Rongwei saw that the money was in his hands and agreed enthusiastically. Then he hurriedly took out his phone and exchanged contact information with Hayu. Red Hair's expression was a little stiff as he held the large sum of money. He was speechless. He didn't expect to get the money so easily. He originally thought that he would have to spend a lot of effort and make the other party dizzy before he could get the money. In the end, the two of them gave him more than 100,000 yuan. Although he couldn't squander this amount of money for long, at least he didn't have to rely on collecting protection fees for a while. After it was settled, the atmosphere became more harmonious. Red Hair attentively brought them out and said that he wanted to treat them to breakfast. Chapter 9:15. Outside the public restroom near the student market, Xiaochen was standing there waiting for Tian Suruan to come out. He planned to ask her about the two people just now. After waiting for a while, Tian Suruan finally appeared and walked out of the restroom. Xiaochen was about to greet her, but he had just taken a step when he saw the red-haired guy and the two adepts from before walking over, talking and laughing. Tian Suruan, who had been looking left and right carefully, also saw them. She was instantly scared out of her wits and her face turned pale. She turned around and went back into the women's restroom, refusing to come out no matter what. Xiaochen had no choice but to continue waiting outside the door. Those people happened to pass by Xiaochen and ignored him after glancing at him. The red-haired guy obviously did not recognize him. Instead, he walked away while whispering to the others. Xiaochen did not know if he thought Xiaochen was a pervert who peeped in the women's restroom. However, before Tian Suruan came out, Su Chuxia and Cheng Menjing came over. They were getting a little impatient from waiting, so they directly went to look for Xiaochen and Tian Suru. Under the watchful eyes of the crowd, Xiaochen could not ask any more questions. After Tian Suruan came out, everyone walked back to the school together. On the way back, Tian Suruan's mood was obviously much lower. She looked like she had a lot on her mind and did not speak much. It was rare for her to be silent. Xiaochen originally wanted to ask more questions, but he could not find the opportunity. He could not speak in front of Su Chuxia either, so he could only give up for now and find a chance to ask more in the future. When they reached the school, everyone said their goodbyes. Xiaochen walked into the classroom and glanced at the other people present. He realized that other than Miss Xing and Ling Qianxue, who glanced at him and then gathered together to whisper, everyone else was busy with their own things and did not notice his arrival at all. Xiaochen secretly pursed his lips and walked to his usual seat with Cheng Menjing. "Student Xiaochen, I don't really understand this question. Can you explain it to me?" As soon as Xiaochen sat down, Ling Qianxue intimately leaned over and sat next to him. Xiaochen was stunned for a moment. He looked down and said, "Oh, I don't understand this kind of triangle relationship. You should ask my girlfriend." Hiss. Before Xiaochen could finish his sentence, he suddenly felt a slender hand on his thigh, constantly rubbing and moving closer to his sensitive area. Without looking down, Xiaochen knew that hand belonged to Ling Qianxue. He was taken aback. At the same time, he was puzzled. How could Ling Qianxue be so daring? "Aren't you afraid of being seen?" Cough cough. Ling Qianxue lightly coughed and lightly tapped on Xiaochen's thigh with her little hand. It was obvious that she was hinting something. After receiving Ling Qianxue's hint, Xiao Chen understood. He quietly released his divine sense and scanned behind him. Sure enough, he found that Xing girl was closely staring at him. Xiao Chen finally understood. Ling Qianxue was obviously putting on an act for Xing Yu. Hee, student Ling, I'm the best at triangle relationships. I'm also good at all kinds of ambiguous relationships. Do you want to find a chance to try? Xiao Chen put on a lecherous face and grabbed Ling Qianxue's little hand. He kept stroking her smooth skin and made clicking sounds. Hey hey. Qing Minjing, who was sitting on the other side of Xiao Chen, also saw this scene. She couldn't help but frown and say, I say you should at least pay attention to your image. I'm your real girlfriend. When you're flirting with other girls in class, have you ever considered my feelings? Although Qing Minjing didn't object to Xiao Chen and Ling Qianxue's intimate actions, she felt that they should at least look at the occasion, right? Not to mention that she, the Empress, was still by their side. Right now it was class time. Not only were they not paying attention in class, but they were also touching each other. Wasn't this a bit too arrogant? Behind, that ladyboy is watching. Xiao Chen's hands didn't stop. He secretly glanced at Qing Minjing and said softly, Oh. Qing Minjing wasn't stupid. Instead she was very quick-witted. Seeing this, she also released her divine sense to check. When she found that it was exactly as Xiao Chen said, she snorted and turned around, ignoring the two of them. Xing girl, who was sitting in the back, saw Xiao Yi's perverted look and was a bit puzzled. Logically speaking, Xiao Chen shouldn't be such a pervert. Could it be that this guy really wasn't Xiao Chen? Qing Yaoyao's reaction was also very strange. If it was Qing Minjing, she wasn't the type of person who would swallow her anger and let Xiao Chen do whatever he wanted. However, this Qing Yaoyao in front of her was actually unmoved. She allowed her boyfriend to be intimate with other people. It was really unbelievable. Hey, what's going on? It's so annoying. Xing girl watched for a while, but she really couldn't see through it. She couldn't figure it out, so she was too lazy to think about it. She raised her hand and told the teacher that she was going to the toilet. Then she left the classroom. No one knew what she was going to do. Xing girl had already left, but Xiao Chen and Ling Qianxue's hands were still under the table. They didn't let go. Ling Qianxue actually quite enjoyed this sweet feeling. She was trained by the Cherry Blossom Group to be a killing tool since she was young. In her mind, there was only the thought of being loyal to the organization. She didn't have feelings for other people, and she had never been in a relationship. Ever since she had a boyfriend like Xiao Chen, her spirit was greatly satisfied. She had a feeling that she never had before. It was as if a certain empty place in her heart was filled. As for Xiao Chen, he gently held Ling Qianxue's small hand. The feeling was also very subtle. It was like the days when he lived with Xinjing Xin, but it was mixed with a different school atmosphere. Xiao Chen felt as if he was in a state between jogging and warming up. The only thing he could be sure of was that he quite liked this kind of sneaky feeling. Cough, cough, cough. On the side, Qing Minjing couldn't stand it anymore. She coughed a few times and said indifferently, Both of you, she has already gone out. Why are you still holding hands so tightly? Only then did Ling Qianxue remember that Qing Minjing was still watching from the side. Suddenly her cheeks turned red. She pulled out her hand helplessly. For a moment she didn't know what to say. She lowered her head like an ostrich and almost stuffed it into the drawer. Ling Qianxue, who was still immersed in the sweetness, began to let her imagination run wild again. She felt that she actually felt sorry for Qing Minjing. After all, she was Xiao Chen's real girlfriend, and she was shamelessly offering herself to him halfway. In the end, not only did she give her first time to Xiao Chen, but now she seemed to have the intention of snatching his wife. It was a bit unreasonable. We were also afraid that she would come back and attack us. Xiao Chen came back to his senses and laughed dryly. His expression was a bit awkward. Chapter 9:16. Ignoring Xiao Chen, Qing Minjing saw that Ling Qianxue's expression was ashamed and guilty. She was afraid that Ling Qianxue would think too much, so she said, It's class time now. Pay attention to your image. Let's go get a room at night. You two can continue touching if you want. Ling Qianxue didn't expect Qing Minjing to say this at all. She was even more embarrassed. Her face was as red as a ripe apple, and she wanted to dig a hole to hide in. Miss, why did you suddenly become so unrestrained? Xiao Chen was a little surprised. He subconsciously reached out to touch Qing Minjing's forehead, wanting to see if she had a fever. How could Qing Minjing, who had always been jealous, be like this? Go to hell. Qing Minjing was so angry that she directly reached out and pinched the soft flesh on Xiao Chen's waist. Ouch! Caught off guard, Xiao Qin screamed in pain, attracting the attention of everyone in the classroom. Xiaoyi, you're crying like a ghost and howling like a wolf during class. Go stand in the hallway as punishment. Professor Zhong pushed the glasses on the bridge of his nose and glared at Xiao Qin with a face full of anger. Okay. Xiao Qin opened his mouth, but he didn't know how to explain. He could only helplessly stand up and walk out. This was the second time he was punished by Professor Zhong. He was simply too unlucky. You deserve it. Let's see if you dare to say bad things about me next time. Cheng Minjing smiled as she watched Xiao Qin walk out of the classroom. She felt very relieved. Then she moved her body in Ling Qianshua's direction, and the two began to whisper between women. When he came to the hallway, Xiao Qin was bored. Suddenly he found that Chick Xing was hiding in a corner not far away. She had a sneaky look, and her phone was stuck to her ear as if she was talking to someone on the phone. Xiao Qin's heart skipped a beat. Who is this chick reporting to? His expression did not change, but he secretly released his divine sense, trying to eavesdrop. Elder son, I ran into some trouble here. I can't confirm whether that Xiao Yi is Xiao Chen or not. I can only find a chance to probe further. I wonder if you have any news of Ma Lanzhao? Little Miss Xing didn't seem to notice anything and respectfully asked the other side of the phone. Since she couldn't confirm Xiao Chen's identity, Xing thought of another method, which was to keep an eye on Ma Wanzhao. As long as she followed Ma Wanzhao, she wouldn't have to worry about him harming Xiao Chen. However, ever since she injured Ma Baixia and Songning, this guy suddenly disappeared from the face of the earth. Little Miss Xing really had no choice but to seek help from Elder Sun to see if there was any news of him in the sect. Don't mention it. That damned Ma Buzhao, I don't know where he's hiding, not even a shadow can be seen. Maybe he died on the way back to the Kuei Mountain sect. Elder Sun was full of anger at the mention of Ma Buzhao. As a vassal of Awakening Heaven's sect, he actually dared to play disappearing with him. Actually, Elder Ma didn't know that after Ma Buzhao was seriously injured, he quietly hid and secretly treated his injuries. He was afraid that leaking the news would attract his enemies, so he didn't release any information to the outside world. He didn't even report to his backer, Awakening Heaven's sect. He only gave some simple instructions to a few confidants of the Kuei Mountain sect and went into seclusion. Then what should we do? Currently, Ma Buzhao's whereabouts are unknown, and Xiao Chen's identity can't be confirmed either. Like this, my mission will be very difficult to carry out. Little Miss Xing had a headache. This situation made her feel a little helpless. How about this, you keep an eye on that Xiao Yi for now. I'll send more people to continue to investigate Ma Buzhao's whereabouts. That kid really can't do anything right, but he's good at spoiling things. I'm so angry. Elder Sun got angrier as he spoke and couldn't help but curse angrily. All right, I understand. Little Miss Xing nodded helplessly and agreed. She hung up the phone and put it in her pocket. She looked around to make sure that no one was watching them before hurrying back to the classroom. Xiao Qin stood there and listened for a long time, but he didn't hear any good news. He only knew that Ma Buzhao was missing, but he didn't know whether the situation was good or bad. The bell rang. At this time it was time for class to end. Professor Zhong walked out of the classroom with his lecture notes. He couldn't be bothered to care that Xiao Qin was still standing there as punishment. He directly treated him as heir and walked away. Xiao Yi, see you in the cafeteria later. Xiao Qin was stretching his arms and legs when he saw Jia Muzhen running out from the back door. He shouted to him and then ran in the direction of the cafeteria without looking back. What? Hearing Jia Muzhen's words, Xiao Qin suddenly felt a little inexplicable. He was about to chase after Jia Muzhen to ask the reason, but Cheng Minjing came out with Ling Qianxue and said to Xiao Qin, Jia Muzhen just said that he wanted to invite all the members of the martial arts club to the cafeteria for a big meal. He ran to the second floor to set the location. Let's go together. Treat to a big meal? Did he pick up a money bag or buy a lottery ticket? Why does he suddenly want to treat everyone to a meal? Xiao Qin scratched his head and followed. He was very puzzled. There didn't seem to be anything worth celebrating recently. Cheng Minjing said while walking, Oh, it is said that the martial arts club has recently found a new venue, and they can officially start to recruit students. Also, Wang Jingtian's medical expenses have been settled. Jia Muzhen thinks this is a great thing, so he wants to have a good meal to celebrate. Although Cheng Minjing also didn't think there was anything to celebrate, she repeated what Jia Muzhen said just now. Some time ago there was a rumor that the vice president of the martial arts club, Wang Jingtian, was seriously injured by the president of the karate club, Du Rongwei, and his men. Because of this, the reputation of the martial arts club plummeted. It wasn't very popular in the first place, and after this rumor spread, no one cared about it. The two original members all wanted to quit. If it weren't for Dong Zhiqi and Jia Muzin's earnest persuasion, the two might have already quit the club and joined another club. Because of this, the martial arts club encountered the biggest crisis in its history. In addition to the imminent crisis of the martial arts club, Wang Jingtian's treatment at the first hospital of Lan City was also a big problem. Wang Jingtian didn't have much savings, and Jia Muzin paid for his medical expenses. However, the high daily expenses were still a bit too much for Jia Muzin. Originally, Dong Zhiqi wanted to ask the school to make an exception, but he didn't expect the school to simply give Du Rongwei a verbal warning and ignore the matter, leaving Wang Jingtian to fend for himself. However, this situation didn't last long. A few days later, Xiao Qin and Cheng Minjing went together to trample on the red-haired guy's karate dojo and taught him a lesson. The next day, Du Rongwei brought the karate dojo's lease and a considerable amount of medical fees to Dong Zhiqi and Jia Muzin. He even bowed and said a lot of good things. Although the two of them felt that it was strange since there was a sucker that came knocking on their door, they still accepted it. Chapter 9:17. This rumor also spread like wildfire. Originally, many people were still doubting whether the martial arts club was really that powerful. However, when they went to the student market and saw the notice that the martial arts club hung in front of the training hall, they finally believed that the rumor was not groundless. After the rumor was confirmed, the martial arts club's popularity began to recover. More and more new members signed up, and the rumor that the martial arts club was no match for the karate club was also dispelled. In addition, Du Rongwei had paid a high fee, enough to cover Wang Jingtian's medical fees in the hospital. Jia Muzin let out a sigh of relief when he found out that these two matters were settled. The gloominess in his heart was swept away. Therefore, he decided to treat everyone to a big meal to celebrate, and also to plan for the future development of the martial arts club. Xiaoyi, you're all here. Why isn't Xing Gongzi here? Jia Muzin saw Xiao Chen walk up, so he looked back and asked casually. Don't know where he went, maybe he fell into the toilet. Xiao Chen held Ling Qianshua's hand in one hand, and Cheng Minjing's hand in the other, and said casually. Is that so? Holy *T. Xiao Chen, your relationship seems to be. Jia Muzin retracted his gaze, and just happened to see Ling Qianshua and Xiao Chen's intimate appearance. He couldn't help but be shocked and couldn't even speak clearly. Xiao Chen saw Jia Muzin staring at his and Ling Qianshua's hands, so he raised his hand and said, as the saying goes, a good bird chooses a good tree to nest in. Ling Xiaoshua has already kicked out that Xing thing. From now on, she will follow me and enjoy a beautiful and happy life. *CKU. What do you mean by a good bird? Do you think Ling Xiaoshua and I are birds? Cheng Minjing glared at Xiao Chen and then turned to Ling Qianshua and said, Xiaoshua, ignore him. This guy is not serious, he just likes to talk nonsense. No, it's nothing. Ling Qianshua's face was a little red and she was a little embarrassed. She didn't expect Xiao Chen to be so direct. She was surprised, touched, and a little sweet. Brother Xiaoyi, you're really awesome. It's only been a few days and she's already catching up to our class belle. Moreover, it seems that the two of you are getting along very well. This little brother truly admires you. Jia Muzin involuntarily gave a thumbs up and sighed with an envious expression. Just then, footsteps could be heard from the second floor. It was Tian Suruan and Su Chuxia. Xiao Chen's voice wasn't soft just now, so the two of them happened to hear what he said. Su Chuxia didn't have much of a reaction, but Tian Suruan's eyes widened. She rushed up to Xiao Chen and sized him up in disbelief. Ling Qianshua knew Tian Suru. She had seen her when she was dealing with Su Chuxia. Tian Suruan turned around and glared at Jia Muzin. She gritted her teeth and said, Hey, Four Eyes, let's not beat around the bush. Tell me the truth. Was it you who told on me? Let me tell you, Sister Suruan isn't someone to be trifled with. Worst comes to worst, we'll just have a showdown and fight to the death. What are you talking about? Jia Muzin was startled by Tian Sauer's gaze. He was confused by what he heard, so he blinked innocently and asked. He really didn't understand. Tian Suruan was just talking to Xiao Chen. Why did she suddenly drag him into this? Stop playing dumb with me. Tell me, are you from the Jia family? And when you saw Sister Suruan you tipped them off, am I right? Tian Suruan pointed at Jia Muzin and asked aggressively. I'm from the Jia family. Is there a problem? Jia Muzin was even more confused. His head was full of question marks. This wasn't the first day that Tian Suruan knew him. Why was she asking such irrelevant questions? See, you admit it, right? Sister Suruin isn't that easy to fool. Don't think that you can fool me. Tian Suruin was overjoyed and said proudly. Chapter 9:18. What did I admit? Jia Muzin was speechless. He patiently explained, why would I lie to you? My surname is Jia. Isn't that a member of the Jia family? How did I lie to you? Jia Muzin was confused. He could not figure out what Tian Suruin was trying to do. You still dare to say no? If it wasn't for you, why would they come to Lanqing University? Tian Suruin snorted and questioned relentlessly. This. Jia Muzin opened his mouth but couldn't find the words to continue. Tian Suruin said that he was a snitch, and then he said that someone had come to Lanqing University. He was so confused that he didn't know how to answer. He also didn't know what snitch Tian Suruin was talking about. When Xiaoqin, who was at the side, heard this, he could basically guess what had happened. Tian Suruin suspected that Jia Muzin had told on her, which was why the two martial artists in the morning were looking for her. That was why she was so anxious to question Jia Muzin. From the looks of it, Xiaoqin felt that the whole thing had nothing to do with him. He was worried that the two people were sent by Ma Baizhu to capture Tian Suruin as a hostage or for some other purpose. After all, everyone knew that Tian Suruin was Xiao Chang's girlfriend. However, it seemed that was not the case. The two people were just looking for Tian Suruin. However, Xiaoqin couldn't just ignore it. After all, Tian Suruin and Su Chuxiao were his friends. Since Suruin was involved in this matter, he had to help if he had the ability to. Seeing Jia Muzin's troubled expression, Xiaoqin interjected and mediated, Miser, I don't think Jia Muzin is that kind of person. I know what you mean, but he really doesn't seem to know anything. Stop asking. What do you know? Tian Suruin's expression changed. She turned her head and stared at Xiaoqin nervously. The two people from this morning, they should be with Jia. Before Xiaoqin could finish, Tian Suruin grabbed him and dragged him to the cafeteria door downstairs. As she walked, she muttered, Come out with Sister Suruin. It's not convenient to talk here. Xiaoqin didn't expect Tian Suruin to make a move just like that. He smiled bitterly and gestured to Cheng Menjing and the rest, indicating that it was fine. Then he followed Tian Suruin out. The two of them came to a secluded corner at the side of the cafeteria. Tian Suruin first looked around for a while to make sure that Jia Muzin didn't follow them and that no one was staring at them. Only then did he cautiously look at Xiaoqin and asked, Speak. What do you know? Are you afraid that someone will find you? For example, the two people in the morning, right? Xiaoqin could not be bothered to beat around the bush anymore, so he asked directly without any hesitation. Oh, you can tell? Tian Suruin was a little surprised. I didn't expect you to be so observant other than picking up girls and masturbating. How can I pick up girls if I don't have observational skills? Xiaoqin looked at Tian Suruin in annoyance. This little girl was unforgiving with her words. Even at this point, she still didn't forget to make sarcastic remarks. However, Xiaoqin didn't intend to bicker with her. Instead, he analyzed the situation in an orderly manner. According to my observation, it shouldn't be Jia Muzin who snitched on you. First of all, he isn't the kind of person who has a bad mouth. Secondly, even if he did snitch on you, it wouldn't do him any good, right? So you shouldn't keep harping on this. That might not be true. Tian Suruin pouted and said, The two people in the morning were from the Jia family. Sister Suruin has seen them before. Moreover, he's the only one with the surname Jia. Who else could it be other than him? What? They are from the Jia family. Xiaoqin was stunned. He finally understood why Tian Suruin had her eyes on Jia Muzin. So this was the reason. Do you believe me now? Tian Suruin patted Xiaoqin's shoulder and said with a brotherly expression, I don't think you have any bad intentions. I said this morning that I'll help Sister Suruin find out something. Do you agree? When it's done, Sister Suruin will reward you handsomely. What handsomely? Don't tell me it's something like underwear or panties. You saw it just now. I've already conquered such a beautiful goddess. I don't care about your messy little things. Xiaoqin said half-jokingly. Can you be considerate of Sister Suruin? Actually, Sister Suruin is very tight on money now. At most, I'll treat you to breakfast again. Tian Suruin said with a pained expression. Today's breakfast had been eaten by Xiaoqin. Tian Suruin mourned for her wallet for a long time. It wasn't easy for her to recover. Alright then. If that's the case, I'll help you find out. Xiaoqin didn't plan on being calculative. He was just joking with Tian Suruin. He had thought that Tian Suruan was fooling around. Now that he saw it, she was indeed in big trouble. As a friend, it was understandable for him to help her out. "That's Sister Suruan's good buddy. How about I get you a pair of Suchusha's panties as a form of encouragement? I heard that if some people wear a beauty's panties on their heads in battle, they can increase their strength." Tian Suruan was overjoyed. She couldn't help but speak presumptuously. Xiao Chen almost spat. Tian Suruan's true nature was exposed in just 3 sentences. He said angrily, "You'd better stop reading those useless comics. If there's really such a powerful guy, he must be a pervert." "Ah, so you've read that comic too? Looks like you're not a normal person." Tian Suruan was in a good mood. She patted Xiao Chen's shoulder teasingly and walked to the cafeteria with him. Along the way she kept teasing Xiao Chen. Xiao Chen was speechless. When they returned to the cafeteria, everyone was already seated in the private room. They had ordered and started eating. When Jia Muzhen saw the 2 of them, she didn't ask any questions. She immediately invited them to sit down and eat. The others naturally didn't say much, and the topic was left unsettled. Although Xiao Chen believed in Jia Muzhen's character, he still secretly released his divine sense to observe Jia Muzhen's expression during the meal. He found that Jia Muzhen was still as calm as ever. He didn't notice anything special. After lunch, everyone went their separate ways. As there were no classes in the afternoon, Xiao Chen asked Cheng Minjing to take Ling Chenxue to the hotel to get a room. He didn't follow them. Instead, he turned around and walked back to the dormitory. After all, it would be too eye-catching if the 3 of them entered and exited the campus together. If word got out, it wouldn't be good for the 2 girls' reputations. Xiao Chen actually had another plan. He wanted to go back to the dormitory with Jia Muzhen, pretend to get something and chat to see if he could get any information. Chapter 9:19. On the way back to the dormitory, Xiao Chen was still thinking about how to ask. He didn't expect Jia Muzhen to speak first. "Xiao Yi, I really couldn't tell. You actually dared to lay your hands on Ling Xiaoxue? Aren't you afraid that Xing Gongzi will come after you?" "Oh, it's no big deal. If he dares to provoke me, I'll beat him up." Xiao Chen waved his fist in the air and changed the topic. "By the way, you're a martial artist, right? I heard that martial artists all have some special abilities. How about you teach me a few? It'll be good for me to learn." Jia Muzhen was slightly stunned. He looked at Xiao Chen strangely and said, "Why are you asking this too? Did Tian Soren tell you that? Don't listen to her nonsense. This chick is a little crazy and will do whatever she wants. It has something to do with her, but I also want to ask myself. When I first decided to apply for the ancient martial arts major, other than my hobby, I actually wanted to meet some martial artists." Xiao Chen said nonsense with a serious face. "Brother, it's not that I want to deceive you or scare you, but there are some things that you know too much about. It's not good for you. I treat you as my good friend and good brother, so I don't want to tell you. This is also to protect your safety, lest you be harmed by others." Jia Muzhen believed it to be true and said with a serious face. Listening to Jia Muzhen's tone, Xiao Chen roughly guessed that this guy was most likely related to martial arts, so he didn't probe further and asked directly, "Are you from the inner martial arts world or the outer martial arts world?" Jia Muzhen almost jumped up. With a surprised expression, he looked at Xiao Chen with some vigilance and asked, Who did you hear this from? Is it Tian Suruan?" In Jia Muzhen's view, Xiao Yi and Qing Yaoyao were both from the secular world, so they shouldn't know much about martial arts sections. Many people even lived their whole lives and never heard of the inner martial arts world and the outer martial arts world. Now Xiao Chen blurted out these 2 terms so familiarly. If he was not related to people in Wulin, then he must have heard it from someone else. "No, didn't I tell you just now? I have friends who are also martial artists, so I know a little," Xiao Chen explained. "Oh, no wonder. So you know. Then there's no harm in telling you." Jia Muzhen nodded, not suspecting anything. Instead, he gave a simple introduction. "I am indeed a member of an inner martial arts clan, but I'm not a direct descendant. That's why Tian Soren has been asking me those questions over and over again, but I haven't said anything. That's because I don't know what she's up to. Just in case, it's better to play dumb." "I see." Xiao Chen finally understood the ins and outs of the matter. He smiled and explained for Tian Soren, "Tian Soren actually doesn't have any bad intentions. She may look careless, but she's a girl with a strong sense of self-protection. Maybe your appearance made her feel threatened, so she kept asking about your family background. Don't mind her. Xiao Qin had lived with Tian Soran for a long time, so he knew this girl's character quite well. Is that so? It's really strange. How can I threaten her? You applied for the ancient martial arts major out of interest, so it's normal for you to have some understanding of Wulin. But how did Tian Soran know about it? Logically speaking, ordinary people don't know much about Wulin. Moreover, even if they knew, I wouldn't be able to threaten her, right? Jia Muzin said with a puzzled expression. Could it be that your Jia family and Tian family have some grudges? This morning when I was outside the school gate, I saw two Wulin people dressed in ancient costumes. They were holding Tian Suran's portrait and questioning her one by one. Later I heard from Soran that they were from your Jia family. That's why she would. Xiao Qin thought for a while and simply told him what had happened in the morning. Since Jia Muzin had already revealed his identity, Xiao Qin felt that there was no need to hide it anymore. It was better to take this opportunity to lay the matter out in the open. After all, Xiao Qin also didn't believe that Jia Muzin was the one who leaked the information. Tian family? Jia Muzin was stunned after hearing that. After thinking hard for a long time, he suddenly frowned and shook his head, saying, No. Did you remember wrongly? There's no Tian family in the Wulin. It can't be? Xiao Qin was also stunned. He thought to himself, could it be that I guessed wrong? Tian Soran isn't from the Wulin? Could it be that her family is from the Wulin? How could it be related to the Jia family of the Wulin? Wait, the Jia family sent people to the secular world to find Tian Soran? This. Jia Muzin was lost in thought as he walked. He almost bumped into a telephone pole. Fortunately, Xiao Qin pulled him back. He didn't know whether to laugh or cry. I seem to understand now. Jia Muzin suddenly cheered. He didn't notice the critical accident just now. He turned his head and asked Xiao Qin, is Tian Soran from the Tang family of the Wulin? So, everything makes sense. Tang family? Xiao Qin was stunned. Tang's figure suddenly appeared in his mind. It turned out that there was also a Tang family in the Wulin. Was there any connection between them and the Tang family in the secular world? If that was the case, then could it be that Tang had gone to the Wulin when she suddenly disappeared without saying goodbye? This sudden thought shook Xiao Qin's mind. In fact, to a certain extent, Xiao Qin's feelings for Tang were deeper than any other woman. After all, when he was in dire straits back then, it was all thanks to Tang who helped him wholeheartedly. Otherwise, Xiao Qin would not even be able to afford a body-tempering pill, let alone achieve what he had today. Just as Xiao Qin was lost in his thoughts, Jia Muzin's voice interrupted his train of thought. I don't know Tian Suru, but I know that my cousin's fiancé's name is Tang Suru Jiao. However, she disappeared many years ago. Could it be that the Jia family has come to Lanqing University to find her? Jia Muzin's expression was a little uncertain. After he finished speaking, he rubbed his chin and continued to ponder, as if he was trying hard to remember something. What? Tang Soran? What kind of weird name is that? Don't tell me she has an elder sister or younger sister called Tang Triangle? Xiao Qin was suddenly speechless. He didn't know whether to laugh or cry. However, thinking back, the name Tian Soran didn't seem to be any better. According to Jia Muzin's speculation, if this was really the case, then everything made sense. No wonder Tian Soran was so afraid when he saw those martial artists. If he was caught, would he have a good ending? Thinking about it, even if Tian Soran was a member of the Tang family of the Wulin, he would definitely change his name after escaping. Wasn't he the same? One moment he was called Xiao Chong, the next moment he was called Xiao Yi. It was not strange that Tang Soran changed his name to Tian Soran. Chapter 920. I'm not sure what her sister's name is. Jia Muzin murmured. Suddenly his eyes lit up. He slapped his thigh and said, That's right, I remember now. I met Tang Surjiao at the Jia family. No wonder Tian Surjiao looked familiar the first time I saw her in the cafeteria. Now it seems like it's her. Then, what do you plan to do? Xiao Qin stared at Jia Muzin with some vigilance and asked tentatively. If Jia Muzin chose to inform the family, it would be reasonable. Xiao Qin couldn't kill him because of this, right? However, Tian Surjiao would definitely be threatened by this. He had to let this girl know and let her be prepared, lest she fell into the tiger's mouth. Don't worry. Jia Muzin seemed to know what Xiao Qin was worried about. He smiled and waved his hand. With a nonchalant face he said, I won't tell anyone. My relationship with my cousin isn't that good, and I don't like to meddle in other people's business. Although he said that, the moment Jia Muzin put his hand down, Xiao Qin caught a flash of deep unwillingness in his eyes. Although he saw it, Xiao Qin didn't ask much. He just patted his shoulder in understanding and said, "The family is big and there are more things to worry about." "I can understand. It's nothing. I'm already used to it." Jia Muzhen shrugged and looked a little helpless. Suddenly he thought of something and said to Xiaoqin, "Oh right, go talk to Tian Sergiao. I won't say anything and she doesn't need to be on tenterhooks all day. If she meets those two again, just hide far away and don't get discovered." "Okay." Xiaoqin nodded. He could tell that Jia Muzhen was unwilling to talk too much about his family, so he didn't continue to pursue the matter. Instead they chatted about games, basketball and the like with Jia Muzhen. They also discussed the beauties in school. In short, it was a topic that men liked to discuss when they got together. Finally, Jia Muzhen's mood gradually changed. On the other side, Cheng Minjing and Ling Qianxue arrived at the Express Hotel together. When they were about to check in, they found that all the rooms were full. The two of them looked at each other. Was it written on the almanac that they should get a room? Usually it would only be full on weekends. How strange. However, it was Cheng Minjing who reacted first. Today was Tuesday. Lanqing University had a unique characteristic. There were no classes scheduled on Tuesday afternoons, so many student couples had already booked rooms. Although the entertainment facilities around Lanqing University were relatively complete with a cinema, KTV, restaurants, and a large student market, there was only one motel that was slightly better. Small hotels and daily rentals could be found everywhere, but Cheng Minjing didn't think it was hygienic, so she never considered it. Helplessly they could only turn around and go back. The two separated at the female dormitory. Ling Qianxue went to report to young Master Xing, while Cheng Minjing went upstairs alone. "Qinyu, are you there? I brought you some delicious snacks." Walking into the dormitory, Cheng Minjing knocked on Ling Qianyu's door and asked. Although she had been with Xiaoqin recently, Cheng Minjing hadn't forgotten about Ling Qianyu. She bought a lot of snacks on the way back just now, hoping to get closer to Ling Qianyu. With a click, Ling Qianyu opened her room door. She still lived in the inner room while Cheng Minjing lived in the outer room. She received the snacks with some surprise. "Thank you." "You're welcome," Cheng Minjing said with a smile. From the corner of her eyes, she saw the clothes that Ling Qianyu had just collected spread out on the bed. Only then did she realize that the sky had darkened a little, and there were signs of rain. "Ah, my clothes are still drying," Cheng Minjing cried out in surprise. She turned around and ran to the balcony, hurriedly putting away the clothes. Ling Qianyu also followed over. Her expression was a little hesitant. After hesitating for a moment, she bit her lower lip and asked, "Yeah, the girl who came back with you just now is quite pretty. Is she a new student this year?" Previously, when Ling Qianyu was putting away the clothes, she just happened to see Cheng Minjing and another girl walking side by side down the dormitory. The figure seemed a little familiar. After taking a closer look, she realized that it was actually Ling Qianxue. "Yes. Right, her name is Ling Xiaoxue, similar to your name. I often mix up your names," Cheng Minjing answered with a smile as she put away the clothes. She didn't know the relationship between Ling Qianxue and Ling Qianyu, so she didn't pay much attention to Ling Qianyu's expression. She thought that the other was just curious. "How do you know her? What is she doing at Lanqing University?" Ling Qianyu was a little nervous and even stuttered as she asked. Recalling how Ling Qianxue easily sneaked into her dormitory, Ling Qianyu still felt a little scared. If it wasn't for Xiao Chen at that time, she might have been kidnapped by Ling Qianxue. Although Ling Qianyu already knew that Ling Qianxue was her biological sister, all signs showed that Ling Qianxue was still on Yorishima Kikuo's side, so she had to be cautious. Ling Qianyu changed her mind and was a little puzzled. Why didn't Grandpa ask Xiao Chen to protect her this time? Didn't Grandpa know that Ling Qianxue had come to Lanqing University? Actually, when Ling Qianxue came into contact with Cheng Yaoyao, she subconsciously thought that it was because of her. So she thought that she should call Grandpa and ask him to send Xiao Chen over again. With Xiao Chen around, she would be relatively safe. Why did she suddenly start thinking about Xiao Chen again? Could it be that she has a good impression of him? No, that's definitely not the case. I just feel that he's a little more powerful than the others. With him around, I feel more at ease. That's it. I don't like him at all. With his cold personality, only a ghost would like him. Ling Qianyu stood there, her expression alternating between nervousness and worry. Hesitation, struggle, stubbornness, and other emotions repeatedly appeared on her face. Luckily, Cheng Minjing was putting away the clothes behind her back, or else she would have been shocked. Ling Qianxue is also studying ancient martial arts. We are classmates. Just now after lunch we made an appointment to go shopping. After shopping we came back together. Cheng Minjing finished putting away the clothes, opened a bag of chips and ate it. She mumbled as she ate. She didn't want to lie to Ling Qinyu, but she couldn't just say that she wanted to get a room with Ling Qianxue, right? She also came here to study? And to be in the same class as you? Ling Qinyu suddenly panicked. Her face turned pale and she didn't know what to say for a moment. How could Ling Qianxue come to study? There must be something wrong. And she purposely used a fake name and coincidentally became friends with Cheng Yaoyao. There must be some conspiracy. That's right. Cheng Minjing nodded. She finally noticed that Ling Qinyu's expression was a little strange. She stood up and asked with concern, "Qinyu, why are you sweating so much? Is the temperature of the air conditioner too high?" Chapter 921. I'm fine. Maybe I'm too tired from putting away the clothes. Looking at Cheng Minjing adjusting the temperature, Ling Qinyu kept rubbing the corner of her clothes to calm herself down. She asked, "Yao Yao, did Ling Xiaoxue ask you anything? Or say something strange?" "No, she's very enthusiastic and kind. She often asks me questions. I'll introduce you guys to her someday and then the three of us can go out and play together." Cheng Minjing blinked. She was a little puzzled. She always felt that Ling Qinyu was a little strange. She seemed to be very interested in Ling Xiaoxue. No, I mean, how should I say it? Oh, actually, I just wanted to ask if she had that. Ling Qinyu was so anxious that she was sweating, but she couldn't say it directly. What? Cheng Minjing was confused. She didn't understand what Ling Qinyu meant at all. She could only answer a few questions that she understood. Just then Cheng Minjing's phone rang. It was Xiao Chen, so she picked it up. "Miss, which room are you in? Why didn't I find your names at the front desk?" Xiao Chen asked. After he finished talking with Jia Muzin, he went to the hotel to find Cheng Minjing and Ling Xiaoxue. However, he couldn't find them at the front desk. "Oh, I forgot to tell you. The hotel is full, so Ling Xiaoxue and I came back. We just arrived at the dorm." Cheng Minjing was eating potato chips. Her hands were greasy, so she used her shoulder to hold the phone. Xiao Chen said, "Looks like I can't get a room with you today. I'll go find you later. Let's go out for dinner tonight." Xiao Chen's voice wasn't loud, but Cheng Minjing's chin accidentally touched the hands-free button as she held her phone between her shoulders. As a result, Xiao Chen's words were played, and Ling Qinyu heard everything clearly. "Come over first." Cheng Minjing was extremely embarrassed. She glanced at Ling Qinyu in embarrassment and hung up the phone without even wiping her hands. Xiao Chen looked at the phone that was quickly hung up and felt a little depressed. What's wrong with the missy? He hung up before he could say anything. Could it be that he was changing his clothes? In the dormitory, the atmosphere suddenly became subtle. Cheng Minjing silently chewed potato chips and didn't know what to say. After Xiao Chen said that, she couldn't explain at all. Ling Qinyu, on the other hand, looked at her in shock, wondering if there was something wrong with her ears. "But, Yao Yao, did I hear it wrong? The three of you are going to a hotel, to get a room?" The two of them stared at each other for a long time before Ling Qinyu finally broke the silence. Ling Qinyu was indeed shocked. In her mind, Xiaoyi was just a loser. He actually managed to get Ling Qianxue? Wasn't Rin Qianxue a ninja from Japan? Why would he fall in love with an ordinary student? And he even went to get a room with him? This was simply unbelievable. What was going on? What was even more surprising was, why did Cheng Yaoyao agree to it? The three of them actually went to get a room together? Yes, you didn't hear it wrong. We are indeed going to get a room. Cheng Minjing helplessly put down the potato chips and nodded. After all, she accidentally pressed the wrong button. There was no point in trying to cover it up. Aren't you and Xiao Yi boyfriend and girlfriend? Why did you agree to Ling Xiaoshue's involvement? Did she grab hold of your weakness and use it to threaten you? Ling Qinyu was puzzled. From her point of view, although Cheng Yaoyao looked ordinary, there was no need for her to do this. Which woman would like to share a man with another woman? Could there be some inside story behind all this? Moreover, if Ling Qianxue really grabbed hold of Cheng Yaoyao's weakness and threatened her to share a man, then would Cheng Yaoyao secretly help her in the future and harm her? After all, she and Cheng Yaoyao lived in the same dormitory. If Cheng Yaoyao wanted to make a move, she could do it at any time. It's not as serious as you say. Actually, in the middle, some things happened. I couldn't do anything about it. That's why this situation happened. Cheng Minjing waved her hand and explained helplessly. That's not necessarily true. I think that Ling Xiaoxue played a trick and purposely made things difficult for us. She's not as good as you think. Before. Ling Qinyu suddenly stopped. Maybe she realized that she had said something wrong and quickly turned her head away. Although Qing Yaoyao was her roommate, Ling Qinyu didn't plan to tell her everything. After all, the two of them weren't close enough to talk about everything. Also, what if Qing Yaoyao was already taken over by Ling Qinxue and turned around to harm her? Before? What about before? Qinyu, you seem to have a prejudice against Xiaoxue? Did you guys know each other before? Although Ling Qinyu only said half of her sentence, Qing Menjing still heard it. She couldn't help but be confused. No. I just don't understand the strange relationship between you guys. Ling Qinyu shook her head and denied it. Is that so? Qing Menjing didn't really believe it. Even if she continued to ask, Ling Qinyu might not say it. Dong dong dong. At this moment there was a knock on the door. Qing Menjing ran to open the door. It was Xiaoqin. Hello. I saw that the clouds outside were very thick. It might rain. We need to bring an umbrella. Xiaoqin said to Qing Menjing. He knew nothing about what happened in the dormitory. Got it? Come in first. Wait for me. I'm going to take a shower and change into a new set of clothes. You can chat with Senior Qinyu for a while. Qing Menjing calmed herself down and said to Xiaoqin. Oh. Xiaoqin responded. Even though she was down and out, she still didn't change her habit of changing clothes often. Qing Menjing picked out the clothes and joked, Don't be impatient. This is a rare opportunity for you to spend time with Campus Belle Lawn. The other guys dream of coming to Senior Qinyu's dormitory. I didn't expect you to make it this time. But you're not allowed to have any improper thoughts about Senior Qinyu when I'm showering. Alright, hurry up and shower. Xiaoqin helplessly agreed. He found it a little funny. He had been to Ling Qinyu's dormitory more than once. He had even seen her whole body. There was nothing strange about it. Turning his head to look at Ling Qinyu, Xiaoqin said politely, Senior Qinyu, Yaoyao usually doesn't take care of herself. Thank you for helping me take care of her these days. I'll treat you to a meal next time. You're welcome. We're roommates now. It's natural for us to take care of each other. Ling Qinyu said politely. She couldn't help but secretly look at Xiaoqin. She really couldn't figure it out. No matter how she looked at it, Xiaoyi was just an ordinary guy. It was understandable that he attracted Qing Yaoyao, who was equally ordinary. How could he make Ling Qinyu fall in love with him? She wouldn't believe it if she said there was no problem. Chapter 922. However, after staring at Xiao Yi for a long time, Ling Qinyu had a strange familiar feeling, as if she had seen him before, but she just couldn't remember. After thinking about it carefully, Ling Qinyu still couldn't remember, so she had to give up. She must be thinking too much. Xiao Yi was a loser with a common face. She could easily meet several on campus. Maybe there were similar pursuers around her. Xiaoqin didn't pay attention to Ling Qinyu's gaze. Instead, he casually looked around the dormitory, looking at the young Mrs. Usual living environment. After scanning around, his eyes fell on the table. There were a few open books on it. Curious, Xiaoqin went forward and flipped through them. Huh. Senior sister, you can dance? I didn't know you were so versatile. After flipping through, Xiaoqin found that these were all international standard dance books. He couldn't help but be surprised. Xiaoqin thought about it. It was probably because he didn't have much contact with Ling Qinyu before. When he was her bodyguard, this little girl had always been on guard against him, so Xiaoqin didn't communicate much with her. He was usually only concerned about her personal safety, so it was normal that he didn't know about these things. After asking, Xiaoqin flipped through a few pages of the International Standard Dance book in his hand. Sure enough, he couldn't understand it at all. He could only, artistically, appreciate the teaching pictures inside. I learned it when I was young, but I'm already rusty. Ling Qinyu smiled and added, Isn't the school going to hold an art festival party in a few days? Every department has to perform a talent show, so my department assigned the task to me. I don't know anything else, so I can only make a last-minute effort and study as soon as possible. I hope I won't make a fool of myself when the time comes. What art festival party? Xiaoqin was stunned and asked in surprise. What was the situation with the party? No one had told him about it. You don't know? Every autumn, Lan City University will hold an art festival party. Students from every department have to prepare a few performances. Didn't you receive the notice? Ling Qinyu was also a little puzzled and asked with her head tilted. Xiaoqin was suddenly speechless. He could almost guess that when he was punished this morning, Professor Zhong had informed the class, but no one had told him yet. Seeing that Ling Qinyu still had a confused look on her face, Xiao Chen could only let out a dry laugh and said, "That? I was basically sleeping in class and didn't pay attention. Maybe the teacher already informed me." Ehe. "Oh, all right." A drop of cold sweat appeared on Ling Qinyu's forehead. She almost rolled her eyes at Xiao Chen, but she held it in. After chatting for a while, they heard the bathroom door open. Cheng Minjing had finished showering and came out. Cheng Minjing looked up and saw that Xiao Chen was sitting there with a straight face. He didn't have any ill intentions towards Ling Qinyu. She couldn't help but feel relieved. After dressing up a little, Cheng Minjing greeted Xiao Chen and prepared to go out. "Yao Yao, don't be in a hurry to leave." Seeing that Xiao Chen and Cheng Minjing were almost at the door, Ling Qinyu mustered up her courage and shouted. She just thought that there were some things that she still had to hint to Cheng Minjing. Seeing that Xiao Chen and Cheng Minjing both turned their heads, Ling Qinyu said to Xiao Chen, "Xiao Yi, I'm sorry, I have some private words between girls to say to Yao Yao. Can I trouble you to wait outside for a while?" "Sure. No problem, you guys talk." Xiao Chen didn't think much of it. He nodded and turned to leave the dormitory, closing the door on his way out. Although Xiao Chen could release his divine sense to eavesdrop, he didn't do so. Ling Qinyu already said that it was private words between girls. It wasn't good for him to take the liberty to eavesdrop. "Senior Qinyu, what's wrong? Do you want me to bring something for you?" Cheng Minjing saw Ling Qinyu's mysterious look and thought that she was on her period and wanted to bring something for the night, so she specifically asked Xiao Chen to go out first. Oh. Since Ling Qinyu stopped Cheng Minjing, she no longer hesitated. She lowered her voice and said with a serious expression, "Actually, I want to tell you that I think there's something wrong with the Ling Xiaoshua's identity. When you guys come into contact with her, you must be careful so that she doesn't use you." "Senior sister, I don't quite understand what you mean." Cheng Minjing froze for a moment and felt a little surprised. She naturally knew that there was something wrong with Ling Qinyu, but Ling Qinyu didn't know Ling Qinyu, so how did she know? "There are some things that I can't say too much about. I don't know if you've vaguely heard that my grandfather works in a very mysterious special department?" Ling Qinyu decided to divulge a little and said with a serious expression, "According to the information he provided, Ling Qinyu isn't from Great Xia. She came to Lanqing University because she has an unspeakable secret." Special department? Cheng Minjing was even more surprised. She didn't expect Ling Qinyu to have such a background. Could it be that her grandfather was from the Supernatural Investigation Bureau? Then why didn't Xiao Chen mention it to her? It seemed that this guy was hiding a lot of things from her. She must find a chance to ask him about it later. "Don't be too nervous." Seeing Cheng Minjing's surprised expression, Ling Qinyu softened her tone and said, "I suspect that Ling Xiaoshua's motive for being sandwiched between you guys isn't simple." For a moment, Cheng Minjing didn't know how to answer. Ling Qinyu thought that she was suspicious and explained, "I'm not trying to sow discord. The three of you being together actually has nothing to do with me, right? However, you're my roommate after all. Now that I know about this, I should at least remind you." The reason why Ling Qinyu told her frankly was because she was thinking for Cheng Minjing's sake. She felt that Cheng Yaoyao's appearance was average while Ling Qinyu was a great beauty with many tricks up her sleeves. If Xiao Yi was infatuated with her, he would easily dump Cheng Yaoyao. At that time it would be too late to cry. On the other hand, it was also for her own safety. Ling Qinyu also felt that she needed to give Cheng Yaoyao a warning. Even if she didn't let her and Xiao Yi stay away from Ling Qinyu, at least she had to be clear about this situation. Otherwise, with Ling Qinyu's ability, when Cheng Yaoyao was sold by her, she might even count the money for her. Plus, she and Cheng Yaoyao were in the same dorm room. Who knew when she would also get herself into trouble? "I understand. I'll be careful from now on. Thank you." Cheng Minjing nodded her head and agreed. Since Ling Qinyu already knew Ling Qinyu's identity, Cheng Minjing couldn't explain too much in case it got more messy. Now it seemed that Ling Qinyu's vigilance towards Ling Qinyu was very high. Her prejudice towards Ling Qinyu was also quite deep. It was hard to change it in a short period of time. Plus, girls were more imaginative. They didn't have the meticulous logic of boys. If she didn't explain it well, Ling Qinyu would easily think the wrong way. Chapter 923. That's good. Be more careful. Seeing that Cheng Minjing had agreed, Ling Qinyu didn't say anything else. Ling Qinyue returned to the dormitory alone. She looked a little lost. She still found it hard to accept the series of events that had happened to her recently. First, she had lost her virginity to Xiao Chen without realizing it. Now she had to turn the tables and help Xiao Qin deceive the Sakura group and young Master Xing. This made her feel even more powerless, and she was often immersed in conflicted emotions. In fact, even Ling Qianxue herself didn't know why she agreed to Xiao Qian's request in a daze. Although she knew that she did have a good impression of Xiao Qin, her views had always been more conservative. Since she was young, she was instilled with the idea that she had to serve the Sakura group wholeheartedly. After so many years, she thought that she wouldn't have the chance to fall in love again. She was already prepared to spend the rest of her life alone and even sacrifice her life for the organization. She didn't expect such an accident to suddenly happen. Why are you in a daze? I called you a few times but you didn't reply. Did you encounter some trouble? Not long after Ling Qianxue returned to the dormitory, Xing also returned. Seeing her sitting on the chair, she wanted to ask her about the recent situation. In the end, she didn't know what Ling Qianxue was thinking. She called for a long time but there was no response. It's nothing. Do you want to drink water? I'll go pour you a cup. Ling Qianxue came back to her senses. Seeing that Xing was staring at her, she stood up absent-mindedly. Drink what water? Xing frowned. She was very dissatisfied with Ling Qianxue's state. She asked coldly, "What's wrong with you? Is it not going well with Xiaoyi? I've told you many times to find out his true identity by all means possible. I can't stay in the secular world for too long. You'd better settle things quickly." But I've already tried my best. I seduced him according to your instructions. I even gave him my first time. Ling Qianxue felt very wronged. Thinking about this made her feel sad. A girl's most precious first time was lost unknowingly. Don't find excuses for yourself. These are all excuses. I've given you a mission, so you have to do your best to complete it. Little Miss Xing hardened her heart and reprimanded him in a tough tone. But things aren't that simple. How do you know I didn't try my best? I'm even more anxious than you are. Ling Qianxue felt wronged but also a bit angry. Why was this young Master Xing always so high and mighty, not taking her seriously at all? Because she had to choose between Xiao Qian and the Sakura group, Ling Qianxue was already very troubled. She hadn't expected little girl Xing to keep pressing her. Finally, the pressure she had been enduring for a long time exploded out. She shouted without a care for anything else. What kind of attitude is that? You've broken through? Little girl Xing was first startled by Ling Qianxue's loud roar. She was about to get angry, but her gaze suddenly froze and she asked in astonishment. What? It was rare for Ling Qianxue to lose control of her emotions. Just now her mind was in a rush. Now that she had calmed down, she asked subconsciously. I remember that you were barely a martial master a few days ago, right? Now, you're actually a martial master at the peak of the 10th layer, half a step into the martial general level? How did you do it? Little girl Xing was very confused. Just now, when Ling Qianxue's emotions were fluctuating, she had unintentionally released her strength. To think that she was actually half a step into the martial general level. This gap was a bit big. I'm not too sure either. Ling Qianxue finally understood young Master Xing's words and was also stunned. These few days she had been worrying about Xiao Qian and the organization, so she didn't even notice that she had broken through. Now that she checked and found that it was as young Master Xing said, she was also very surprised. Forget it, I won't argue with you about what happened just now. Anyway, hurry up and I'll be able to report to the higher-ups. Little girl Xing looked at Ling Qianxue's stunned expression and felt that she didn't seem to be faking it, so she didn't continue asking. It seemed that this little girl had been under a lot of pressure recently, so she didn't even know that she had broken through. That Xiaoyi is usually a bit cautious. I've tested him a few times but he didn't fall for it. I feel that I might have to think of another way to try it, Ling Qianxue explained with a bitter expression. Then you can let him let his guard down before you test him. Little girl Xing said seriously, for example, I know that when a man wants to do that, his willpower is very weak. As long as you suddenly don't give it to him and then ask him a few questions, who knows, you might be able to get some information out of him. Next time you can try it out according to my method. Little girl Xing seemed to speak very logically, but in reality she had no experience in this area. Everything she knew was completely from the internet. Oh, okay then. I'll try it another day. Ling Qianxue could only nod her head, her heart was very conflicted. Ling Qianxue knew Xiao Qian's true cultivation, so how could she not give it to him at that time? Although she had already advanced to half a step into martial general, if she really angered Xiao Qian and the two of them fought, she wouldn't be able to gain any advantage at all. And at that time Xiao Qian might think that she was playing around and then he would crack her. and get his way. So young Master Xing's method was completely useless. Most importantly, she didn't need to test him. She already knew the answer, but how was she going to trick young Master Xing? After Red Hair received the money, he immediately ordered Du Romwei to gather all the students who came to the karate dojo in the past, explain the situation, show them the portrait, and tell them to pay more attention to the school, and that was it. As for Red Hair himself, he brought the young ninja everywhere to drink, and be merry. He didn't care about finding the person at all, and often didn't even see a shadow of him for a few days. Previously, when he was running the Extreme Karate Dojo, although there was an income from the school fees, he had to be busy every day. After a day he was extremely tired, and even if he wanted to go out and play, he didn't have the energy to go out and play. Red Hair had been holding back for a long time. Now that he had such a large sum of money and didn't need to rely on protection fees to survive, Red Hair simply threw his career to the back of his head and enjoyed his extravagant days to the fullest. However, he didn't forget to trick the two rich people, and in advance he arranged for delicious food and drinks, as well as a group of high-quality prostitutes to properly serve the two rich people. Although the two cultivators of the Jia family had high cultivation, they didn't understand the affairs of the mortal world and the ways of the world at all. In the beginning they specially kept an eye on Red Hair for a few days. Seeing that he indeed left early and returned late, and sometimes didn't even return, they thought that Red Hair was working very hard to help them find the person, and couldn't help but be very happy. Chapter 924. In addition, Red Hair had arranged everything for them. Every day they would be surrounded by delicacies and beauties. They were even more satisfied and no longer kept an eye on Red Hair and enjoyed themselves. After a while, Red Hair had spent most of his money. After discussing with the young ninja, he decided to make up an excuse and ask for some money from the two cultivators. After all, they had plenty of money, so it was not a big deal. Red Hair could tell that these two cultivators were the typical idiots with a lot of money. As long as they served them well, it would be a piece of cake to swindle them for money. They were basically two mobile ATMs. Therefore, Red Hair did not plan to seriously look for them. He wanted to swindle more money first. Brother Black Feather, Brother Bai Chi, I have news for you. After the plan was decided, Red Fur came to the two's residence eagerly. As soon as he pushed open the door and entered, he saw that the square table in front of him was filled with good wine and dishes. Heiyu and Bai Chi were eating and drinking to their heart's content, and there were also a few all-faced beauties snuggling up to them. The two of them had a satisfied expression on their faces and laughed heartily from time to time. They seemed to be having a good time. Isn't this Brother Red Hair? Come. Sit down and talk slowly. Drink a few cups with us. Bai Chi slapped the butt of the woman beside him and said with a smile, Su, quickly pour some wine for Brother Red Hair and add a pair of chopsticks for him. Got it. Brother Bai, don't you feel sorry for me? It hurts so much. Su pouted and stood up to pour some wine for Red Hair. Then she winked at Red Hair. Brother Red Hair, come and sit here. Red Hair didn't stand on ceremony. He picked up his wine glass and drained it in one gulp as a form of respect to the two of them. Then he sat beside Heiyu and wolfed down a few mouthfuls of food. He smiled and chatted with Bai Chi and Heiyu for a while. Seeing that the atmosphere was about right, he wiped the oil off his mouth and put down the chopsticks in his hand. Brothers, I've already set up spies in the school. Recently, many students have sent news saying that they've seen the girl in the portrait. I believe that it won't be long before we find out more information about her. Red Hair said with a flattering expression. Not bad, we've all seen what you've done. Heiyu nodded his head in satisfaction. You've really tried your best. However, I have to warn you that you have to be careful when you do things. When those students find her, you have to inform us immediately. Don't alert them. If she accidentally finds out and takes the opportunity to slip away, it will be difficult to find her again. All right. I understand Brother Heiyu's meaning. I'll go back and remind them again. I guarantee that nothing will go wrong. Redhead hurriedly nodded his head in agreement. In his heart he thought that it was a close shave. He didn't think that these two idiots weren't as stupid as he thought. They had even specially monitored him. Fortunately, he had arranged for those students to pretend to search around the campus. Otherwise, if these two people knew the truth, there would be big trouble. Yes, we are more at ease with you taking care of things. Bai Chi laughed meaningfully. He reached out his hand and pinched Su's smooth cheeks, causing a series of playful cries. In an instant, the sounds of women talking and fists swinging left Redhead dazzled and his lower abdomen burned. After patiently chatting with them for a while, Redhead could no longer sit still. He went straight to the point. Brothers, the reason I came to find you this time, other than to report on the progress, there is another matter. It is, I want to apply for some finding funds. As you know, in order to find that girl, we have spent almost all of our previous funds. So, Oh, isn't it just money? No problem. Why didn't you say so earlier? Heiyu waved his hand nonchalantly. He pulled out a stack of money from his bag and threw it in front of Redhead. He said casually, if you have no money in the future, just tell me. Why are you wasting so much money? As long as we can find that person, money doesn't matter. Thank you, brother Heiyu, brother Bai Chi. In that case, I won't disturb the two of you. You two can continue. I will now send more people to help you two complete your mission earlier. Redhead's wish was fulfilled. He smiled and grabbed the money on the table. He was too lazy to count it and stuffed it into his pocket. Redhead did not care how much money there was. At any rate, these two idiots had said that if he ran out of money he could come back to them again. He was prepared to ask for it a few more times in the future. At worst, he could just make up some other excuses to trick them. You don't have to be too anxious. Remember to let those students keep a low profile. As long as they can lock onto the person, it's fine. Don't be rash. It doesn't matter if it takes a bit more time. Bai Chi was still worried and reminded him again. Then he gestured for Redhead to leave. He then continued to flirt with Su Su. Although he said it was for the sake of caution, that was not the main reason. The reason why Bai Chi was not anxious was because he did not plan on leaving the secular world so soon. When he and Heiyu were in the inner martial arts family, they had always lived a life similar to that of a monk. How could they have such a good and happy life like this? Of course, they hoped that Redhead would take as long as possible. After all, it was rare for them to come out and enjoy themselves. When they returned, they probably would not have the chance to enjoy such a life again. Red Hair agreed immediately and was even happier in his heart. Since the other party had spoken, he had even more reason to drag out the search. He didn't stay for long and quickly left with the money. He was ready to go out and have fun with the young ninja. While Bai Chi and Heiyu were living a befuddled life, two beautiful figures were dancing a beautiful ballroom dance in Lanqing University's dance rehearsal room. It was very pleasing to the eye. One of the beautiful figures was Ling Chenyu. The other was a girl with slightly inferior looks and a slightly reserved expression. The two of them were preparing for the gala of the art festival. In the same rehearsal room, some students from other departments were also rehearsing. Although they each occupied a part of the area and did not interfere with each other's rehearsals, Ling Chenyu was like a ray of light. She always unconsciously attracted the gazes of others. The girls were jealous and unwilling, while the boys were full of admiration and amazement. As expected of the school belle, she was so elegant and moving when she danced. It seemed that the first prize of this year's art festival would definitely be Ling Chenyu's. However, even though she was being stared at by so many people at the same time, Ling Chenyu did not seem to feel it at all. She was focused on practicing with her dance partner. On the contrary, her dance partner was slightly nervous. Actually, Ling Chenyu did not want to go on stage to perform. She was not someone who liked to be in the limelight. However, the department student council officer, Xiao Peng, came to find her again and again. She tried her best to persuade her, insisting that she participate. Chapter 925. He even said that as the campus belle, she had to think about the honor of the faculty and bring honor to the faculty. In short, he would spout a bunch of high-sounding words every time. After being asked so many times, Ling Chenyu could only reluctantly agree. She recalled that she had never participated in such activities before. Ling Chenyu was worried that other students would think that she was aloof and unsociable, so she agreed to perform after much consideration. Although she reluctantly agreed to perform, Ling Chenyu wanted to choose her own program and partner. Naturally, Little Peng agreed without hesitation. It was fine as long as she was willing to perform on stage. Besides, her request was very normal. However, Ling Chenyu did not have many friends in Lanqing University, and there were even fewer who knew how to dance. After discussing with Little Peng, she could only find a girl in the faculty who knew how to dance. Outside the rehearsal room, a guy who looked like a young master was looking in through the window. His eyes kept sweeping over Ling Chenyu's chest and butt. He gulped and retracted his gaze with difficulty. He turned to the guy beside him and asked, "Little Peng, have you done what I asked you to do? There won't be any problems, right?" "Young Master Zhang, don't worry. It's all done. There won't be any problems for me to do it. Little Ping nodded and patted his chest. That's good. When the time comes, give that girl some money and tell her to pretend that she's having her period and withdraw from the performance before going on stage. Then this young master will replace her. The corner of Jing Shiding's lips curled up and he sneered, remember, tell that girl to keep her mouth shut after this. Otherwise, if the news is leaked, not only will she not get a single cent, I will also find someone to gang rape her. Understood? Of course. Of course. That girl is from my girlfriend's dorm. Her family has always been poor and she lives on subsidies, so she's very short of money. As long as young Master Zheng gives her the money, she will definitely keep her mouth shut. Little Peng replied respectfully. Little Peng used to be one of Zheng Shiding's friends. Zheng Shiding had contributed a lot to his successful promotion to the student council, so he was happy to do him a favor. Yes, this is your reward and the girl's advance payment. Zheng Shiding nodded in satisfaction. He took out an iPhone and an envelope with money and handed them to Xiaopeng. After it's done, ask the girl to come to the dormitory to find me. I'll give her the rest of the money. No problem. Xiaopeng happily took the phone and money and agreed. He also knew that Zheng Shiding's purpose of asking the girl to go to the dormitory was to have sex with her. However, he didn't want to care so much as long as he got the phone. Putting her phone away, Little Peng smiled and said, Young Master Zheng, I'll be leaving first. You can continue to enjoy it. All right, go and play. Zheng Shiding's head had long since turned back. He casually waved his hand, and his eyes once again focused on Ling Qianyu's body, admiring her like he was intoxicated. Seeing that young Master Zheng had no more instructions, Xiaopeng turned around and walked toward his girlfriend's dormitory. He was going to show off his iPhone to his girlfriend, and while he was at it, he would give the advance payment to the other girl without attracting attention. Not long after Xiaopeng entered the dormitory, another handsome boy with fair skin also rushed over and walked toward the girls' dormitory. This person was Shui Gao. He had been wandering around the campus, trying to find the whereabouts of Su Chuxia and Tian Suru. He finally found out that the two girls were in the dormitory, so he immediately rushed over. He had always wanted to get close to the two girls, but he couldn't find a suitable opportunity. It was rare for him to come across a group event like the art festival, so he naturally wouldn't let go of this great opportunity to pick up girls. Knock knock knock. Shui Gao stood in front of Su Chuxia's dormitory. He first tidied up his clothes, then gently knocked on the door. But what puzzled him was that there was a burst of hurried footsteps in the room, and then there was a girl's scream, and then there was no more sound. Shui Gao waited for a while, but there was no movement. He felt a little strange, but then he thought that the girls probably wore less clothes in the room, and when they heard someone was visiting, they hurried to change. Thinking that he had figured out the key, Shui Gao reached out and knocked a few more times, then shouted in the friendliest tone possible, Chuxia, Suru, I'm Senior Ice Cream. Are you guys in the room? I have something to talk to you guys about. Coming, wait for a moment. Su Chuxia's reply came from the room, and Shui Gao immediately felt that his guess was confirmed. He didn't say anything more, struck a pose that he thought was the coolest, and waited patiently against the wall. After a few more minutes, the door slowly opened, and Su Chuxia carefully poked her head out. She looked around nervously, and when she saw that Shui Gao was alone, she relaxed and asked calmly, Hello, may I know why you're looking for me? Chuxia, why are you alone? Where did Suru go? Shui Gao straightened his body, a confused look on his face. He wanted to walk into the room, but Su Chuxia stopped him at the door. She's not feeling well and she's resting in her room. If you have something to say, say it here. Su Chuxia stared at Shui Gao cautiously, not budging an inch. Su Chuxia actually hated good-for-nothing rich kids like Shui Gao, but she didn't hide a smiling face. He hadn't offended her before, so she couldn't just close the door and refuse to see him. Yes. She's not feeling well and she needs to rest more. Shui Gao nodded, expressing his warm concern, but in his heart, he didn't think much of it. You two little bitches, why are you pretending? When I get all of you in bed and conquer you one by one, won't you all be obedient to me? What do you want? Su Chuxia ignored Shui Gao's fawning and asked coldly again. Shui Gao smiled, seemingly unfazed by Su Chuxia's indifference. It's like this, in a few days Arlan University's art festival will begin. Have you guys thought about what you want to perform? Art festival? Su Chuxia was halfway through her sentence when she heard footsteps behind her. Then she was pulled away from the door. Su Chuxia turned around and saw Tian Suru running out of the room. She had one hand on her waist and the other was pointing at Shui Gao's nose as she scolded, Are you crazy? What's there to perform? Sister Suru and Chuxia don't know anything, and they're not interested in participating in that stupid art festival. Do you have anything else? If not, curl up into a ball and get out of here. Chapter 926. Shuigao was speechless as he looked at the aggressive Tian Suruan. Didn't Su Chuxia say that she wasn't feeling well? Why did he look so lively and energetic? Shuigao didn't know that ever since Tian Suruan met the two cultivators from the Jia family at the breakfast stall, she had been paranoid. She kept suspecting that someone was following her or that someone was trying to harm her. She almost had a mental breakdown. Now, apart from attending classes, she rarely appeared in public. Su Chuxia brought her meals from the cafeteria and she ate them in the dormitory. She was chatting with Su Chuxia in the dormitory when she suddenly heard a knock on the door. She thought it was the Jia family and jumped up from the sofa in fright. She tried to hide in the closet in her room in a hurry, but her little toe accidentally bumped into the leg of the table. The scream that Shuigao heard outside the door was Tian Suruan's involuntary scream. Su Chuxia only opened the door after she endured the pain and hid in the closet. However, even though Tian Suruan was hiding in the closet, she heard every word of the conversation outside. When she found out why Shuigao was here, she almost went crazy with anger. Just because of this trivial matter, not only did he hurt his toes, but he was also forced to hide in the wardrobe like a stray dog. He was so unlucky. That was why Tian Suruan was so angry. He opened the wardrobe and rushed out. He vented the anger in his heart on Shuigao. Shuigao had hit the muzzle of a gun this time. Usually Tian Wangchuan didn't go out. How could she take the initiative to show her face in a place like the art festival? Senior Shuigao, thank you for your kind intentions, but we really haven't learned any talent, so we won't take the liberty to embarrass ourselves on stage. You should find someone else. Su Chuxia said apologetically. Since Suruan was unwilling, she had no reason to participate. To be honest, she wasn't interested in the art festival. Don't reject me so early. Actually, the performance of the gala isn't that difficult. It's nothing more than singing and dancing. Just choose something simple. Shuigao's tone was still gentle, but in his heart he almost cursed Tian Suruan to death. He could tell that it was mainly because Tian Suruan did not want to act in the show. That was why Su Chuxia had rejected him as well. Shuigao Yuan thought that it would be a piece of cake. He did not expect things to turn out this way. Even if it's simple, Sister Sour doesn't know how to do it. Since you're so enthusiastic, why don't you do it yourself? Why do you have to look for us? Tian Suruan asked angrily as if he had eaten gunpowder. She was not willing to go on stage. If she happened to be recognized by the Jia clan, she would be in big trouble. Shuigao didn't think that Tian Suruan's attitude would be so firm. He rolled his eyes and came up with a plan. Putting on a bitter face, he said, "It's not that Senior wants to force you to. Actually, this matter was brought up by the faculty's teachers. They want the two of you to put on a performance." Impossible. How could the teachers in the department be so bored? Don't try to fool us. Tian Wangshou looked at Shuigao suspiciously. Cough cough, how could that be? Who asked you two to be the prettiest girls in our department? I heard that the other departments also sent their prettiest girls to perform. So, our department can't admit defeat. The teachers hope that the two of you can think of the big picture. After all, we are a team. We can't be individualistic. Shuigao explained sincerely. Anyway, Sister Sour doesn't know how to do anything. Don't even think of asking me to go on stage. Tian Wangshou snorted and shook her head firmly. Shuigao changed his tone. How about this? No matter which one of you is fine, one of you must go on stage to perform. Then I will explain to the teachers on your behalf. I believe that for the sake of Senior Ice Cream, the teachers won't make things too difficult for you too. This? Su Chuxia felt helpless when Shuigao put it this way. She glanced at Tian Wangshou and saw that she was in a difficult position. Thinking about her actual situation, she had no choice but to say, since this is what the teachers want, there's no other way. Let me perform. I haven't thought of the specific performance yet. When I think about it, I will find a suitable partner to go on stage with me. What big picture? You're simply making things difficult for me. Tian Wangshou knew that Su Chuxia reluctantly agreed to go on stage for her sake. She couldn't help but glare at Shuigao and sulk. Actually, Tian Wangshou and Su Chuxia didn't expect that there was no such thing as a roll call or a campus bell. Shuigao was just using the teachers as a cover to trick them. They just needed to call the teachers to confirm it and they would immediately see through Shuigao's lies. However, Tian Wangshu had something else to hide, and Su Chuxia didn't think that Shui Gao would lie about this. It's okay. Senior Ice Cream is most proficient in talent shows. I will choose a few suitable acts for you and let you decide which one to perform. I guarantee it won't be too difficult. Seeing that Su Chuxia finally agreed, Shui Gao secretly heaved a sigh of relief and promised with a smile. Shui Gao was thinking about what kind of show he should arrange for Su Chuxia as he made the guarantee. Actually, he had the same idea as Zheng Shiding. He planned to wait for Su Chuxia to find a partner, then threaten and bribe her into going on stage. Then he could kiss the beauty. Although Tian Wangshu wouldn't be participating, Su Chuxia's looks and figure were top-notch. She was also a rare beauty. Moreover, she had a weak personality. Even if he wanted to take advantage of her, she would have no choice but to let him do it on stage. She wouldn't dare to make a sound. Oh, then you can go back and choose slowly. Sister Wangshu won't keep you company. Chuxia, let's go. Tian Wangshu snorted coldly and dragged Su Chuxia into the room. Then she hooked the door with her foot and slammed it shut with a loud bang. Ouch. Shui Gao was still standing there with his imagination running wild. He didn't expect that the closed door would hit his nose. He couldn't help but cry out in pain. He felt like he was seeing stars and his vision was blurry. He subconsciously touched his nose. His hand was bright red. It turned out that the collision had actually caused his nose to bleed. Motherf asterisk king b asterisk tish, why are you so arrogant? When you become my toys, let's see if you still dare to be so arrogant. Shui Gao covered his nose and cursed under his breath. Then he left the female dormitory angrily. While the students from the other faculties were busy rehearsing, the ancient martial arts department was not idle. They all gathered in the martial arts hall of the student market and discussed what they should perform during the art festival. Kai Zhuwei, at a time like this, don't just focus on your martial arts manuals. Didn't Professor Zhong tell us? Our faculty has to perform 3 performances. We haven't even figured out a single one. You should at least think about it. Jia Muzin said angrily. Chapter 927. Now everyone was thinking about what to perform, but Kai Zhuwei was still sitting there and reading. Why didn't he have any sense of community? Oh, it's just a performance. Is it that difficult? Let's learn from the other classes and sing a song, then do 2 martial arts performances. That way we'll have 3 performances. Kai Zhuwei put down the book and said lightly. Then he picked up the book again as if he was talking about something as simple as eating and brushing his teeth. Everyone looked at each other and didn't mind Kai Zhuwei's disdain. Instead, they felt that what he said was reasonable. Anyway, the other departments had arranged it this way. The boys turned to look at Cheng Minjing and Ling Qianxue. Normally, the performance would be girls singing and dancing, while the boys would only perform martial arts. Xiao Qin knew that it wasn't convenient for Miss to show her face in public, so he suggested, how about this? Since we're ancient martial arts majors, why don't we perform a group martial arts? Then we can make a golden shield iron shirt or something like that. We can also interact with our classmates and invite them to come on stage. This program will be fun and exciting enough. After all, everyone here who chose to enroll in the ancient martial arts department had to have some strength. Putting aside himself and the miss, that Chick Xing and Ling Qianxue were both real cultivators. Although Wang Jingtian had just recovered from his injuries, he was a solid stage 3 inner force cultivator. Even if he was beaten up by an ordinary person, he wouldn't have a problem. On the surface, only Jia Muzin and Kai Zhuwei's strength was unknown. It seemed a bit mysterious. However, Xiao Qin thought that Jia Muzin, as a disciple of the Jia family, shouldn't be just for show. He just didn't know which realm he had reached. As for the latter, he didn't know anything about him. However, seeing that this guy was reading martial arts books every day, Xiao Qin guessed that he had some skills. Great. Xiao Yi's idea is good. Wang Jingtian nodded in support. Yes, it's really good. In this way we can also promote the martial arts club. It's killing 2 birds with 1 stone. Jia Muzin happily agreed. The others didn't have any objections either. Cheng Minjing guessed Xiao Chen's intention at once and was secretly relieved. In addition to not wanting to show her face, there was actually another reason. She was not good at singing since she was a child. After the general direction was decided, everyone discussed going up on stage together and performing a combination of sanda or something. After all, there were less than 10 people in the entire class. They could be counted on their fingers. Since they were already on stage, there was no need to think about other performances. But this time Wang Jingtian didn't agree. Instead, he raised an objection. I think a mixed martial arts team is too boring. That's just a normal rehearsal. What's the difference between that and acting? As martial artists, what we want is a sense of realism. Do you have any good ideas? Jiang Yuzhen asked from the side. Wang Jingtian rubbed his chin and thought for a while. Then he slapped his thigh and said, I got it. How about this? I'll perform chopping bricks with my bare hands, and Mu Sen, you'll perform smashing rocks with your chest. Otherwise, Sanda won't attract the attention of other students at all. Xiao Qin suddenly burst into laughter. He thought Wang Jingtian could come up with some good ideas. He didn't expect it to be this kind of street performance, and it was a relatively low-level one. But to Xiao Qin's surprise, everyone listened to Wang Jingtian's suggestion and applauded. Xiao Qin was even more speechless. He didn't know what these people were thinking. Could it be that their cultivation was trained by chopping bricks with their bare hands and smashing rocks with their chest? Xiao Yi, you're also from the martial arts club. You can assist me in Jiang Yuzhen. Wang Jingtian glanced at Xiao Qin and felt that he looked thinner than Jiang Yuzhen, so he probably wouldn't be of much use. Wang Jingtian instructed, during the performance, you will help me hold the bricks and then hit Jiang Yuzhen with the hammer. Okay. Xiao Qin didn't know whether to laugh or cry. He was a great perfection of Demon King level 10, yet he had to be the assistant of 2 performers. Just thinking about it made him speechless. Then let's start rehearsing now. Let's familiarize ourselves first in case something goes wrong. Jiang Yuzhen stood up excitedly. Wang Jingtian nodded and instructed, Xiao Yi, help me find some green bricks and a big rock. Then let's start rehearsing. You take the hammer and hit Jiang Yuzhen. No, hit that rock to practice. Green bricks are easy to find. There's a new dormitory being built at the west gate. It's fine for me to get a few, but where can I find such a big rock? Besides, even if I find it, I can't move it by myself. Xiao Qin said with a bitter face. The reason why he said this was that Xiao Qin didn't want to expose his strength in front of everyone. Otherwise, let alone a big rock, he could even carry a car back. Oh, you're right. Wang Jingtian thought about it and said, there should be a lot of big rocks in the mountain behind the school. You and Jiang Yuzhen go get some green bricks first. I'll take care of the big rocks. We'll meet here later. After that, Wang Jingtian didn't wait for Xiao Qin to agree. He went out the door and ran toward the back of the mountain. Xiao Qin spread his hands innocently. Since Wang Jingtian had already assigned them, he didn't express any opinion. He went to carry the bricks with Jiang Yuzhen. Not long after, the 2 of them carried a pile of green bricks back. However, what surprised them was that when the 2 of them arrived at the martial arts gym, Wang Jingtian was already waiting inside. His face wasn't red and he wasn't out of breath. It looked like he had never been out. However, compared to before, there were a few more big rocks on the floor of the martial arts gym. Each one seemed to weigh 100 or 200 pounds. After everything was prepared, Wang Jingtian and Jiang Yuzhen began to rehearse. The 2 of them were very powerful. Wang Jingtian could split more than 20 green bricks at once. Jiang Yuzhen was pressed down by a few 100 pounds of rocks, but he didn't seem to be afraid at all. He didn't feel suffocated at all. Instead, he looked relaxed. Xiao Qin stood beside Jiang Yuzhen. When he first raised the hammer, he was a little hesitant. He was worried that he would injure Jiang Yuzhen internally. Xiao Yi, it's okay. Just hit it with all your strength. It won't hurt me. Jiang Yuzhen saw Xiao Qin's hesitation. He secretly winked at him and showed an expression that said, you know what I mean. Xiao Qin knew what Jiang Yuzhen meant. As a member of the internal pugilistic world, this was nothing to him. He nodded, controlled his strength, raised the hammer in his hand and smashed it down. With a loud boom, Xiao Qin's original apprehension disappeared in an instant. In that instant, the aura that Jiang Yuzhen released was actually that of a 10th layer martial general level perfection. Chapter 928. In the secular world, this kind of strength was simply heaven-defying. This kid actually hit it so well before. If it wasn't for the fact that he wanted to perform breaking rocks on his chest, he probably wouldn't have revealed it so easily. However, Xiao Qin didn't expose him. After all, Jiang Yuzhen's strength just now was just a flash. The moment the hammer fell, Jiang Yuzhen circulated his mental cultivation to protect his body. When the hammer fell, Jiang Yuzhen immediately dispersed his strength. This speed was so fast that even Wang Jingtian couldn't see it. If Xiao Qin wasn't a cultivator and had sharp observation skills, he probably wouldn't have been able to see it either. Miss Xing and Ling Qianxue, who were watching from the side, looked at each other in puzzlement. They knew Wang Jingtian's strength, but they didn't carefully observe Jiang Yuzhen's cultivation. Just now they didn't discover Jia Muzin's true cultivation, but they knew that this guy was definitely not an ordinary person. Otherwise, if the hammer fell, even if he didn't die, he would be seriously injured. Kai Zhuwei, on the other hand, was still hugging the martial arts manual, squatting in the corner and reading with great interest. He didn't care about what happened around him at all, as if the whole performance had nothing to do with him. Everyone's rehearsal ended in the evening. As tomorrow was the weekend and also the day of the art festival, after the rehearsal ended, everyone went back to rest and prepare for tomorrow's performance. With the previous experience, Xiao Chen booked a hotel room early. After the rehearsal ended, he brought Cheng Menjing and Ling Qianxue over. Miss Xing quietly followed behind the three of them. After seeing them enter the same room with her own eyes, she was relieved and returned to the dormitory to wait for Ling Qianxue's good news. The alarm has been lifted. That ladyboy has left. In the room, Xiao Chen withdrew his divine sense and stretched. He really didn't understand Miss Xing. Why did she secretly follow him again? Could it be that there was something wrong with her? However, since she had left, Xiao Chen couldn't be bothered. If she liked to follow, then let her be. If she didn't leave, Xiao Chen really planned to tease her. That person is really sick. Why does a good girl like to cross-dress? Is she a transvestite? Cheng Menjing curled her lips and complained, also he always stares at us sneakily in class. I'm always on tenterhooks, afraid that he'll expose us. After Cheng Menjing entered the room, she had already returned to her original appearance. Everyone present knew who she was, so there was no need to hide anymore. It was also very tiring to maintain the illusion with her vital energy. Ling Qianxue didn't respond. Ever since she entered the room, she had been troubled. She sat on the bed without saying a word. No one knew what she was thinking. Maybe the people in the martial arts world are a little weird. If you don't like that lady boy, then you should work hard on your cultivation. When your strength reaches the peak of Golden Core Stage Level 9, you can go beat her up to vent your anger. Xiao Chen smiled indifferently. With Xiao Chen's current strength, it wasn't easy to teach Xing Chick a lesson, but if he had the help of the fire of the underworld and in Xiaoma, he would definitely be able to beat Xing Chick up. Ever since the flame of the underworld and in Xiaoma slowly woke up, Xiao Chen's cultivation had a substantial breakthrough. His confidence had also gradually returned. Previously, he was tormented by Ma Baixia and Xing Xiaoma to the point where he was hovering between life and death. Now he finally had a chance to vent his anger. Of course, Xiao Chen was not stupid. Now that Xing Chick still had doubts about his identity, he naturally wouldn't take the initiative to expose his identity. At most, he would use illusion to tease her. Tisk, I'm too lazy to fight and kill. This glorious and arduous task is left to you to complete. Cheng Menjing said as she walked to the bathroom, but suddenly cheered. She came back and pulled Ling Qianxue's hand. Qianxue, let's go take a bath together. I saw a big bathtub in the bathroom just now. We can take a bath together and rub each other's backs. I haven't taken a bath for a long time, I really miss it. Xiao Chen's strength had skyrocketed, so he didn't have to worry about anything. He planned to withdraw some money after a while, so he specially chose a luxurious room with a big bathtub. However, this was originally used to increase the couple's interest, but Cheng Menjing naturally excluded Xiao Chen. The reason why she asked Ling Qianxue to go with her was that Jean Bebe had been away for a long time. Previously, she used to take a bath with Jean Bebe. Now, she didn't have any good friends, so they couldn't be together. However, Ling Qianxue was also considered one of them, so Cheng Menjing didn't avoid it too much. No need. You go take a bath first. I'll wait for you to finish. Ling Qianxue came back to her senses, shook her head and tried to squeeze out a smile. Qianxue, what's wrong? You look unhappy. Is there something on your mind? Xiao Chen sat next to Ling Qianxue, hugged her waist and asked softly. Did that ladyboy bully you again? Don't be afraid. I'll ask Xiao Chen to beat him up later. Just take it as helping you. Cheng Menjing sat on the other side of Ling Qianxue, waved her little fist and said angrily. Thank you both. Feeling the care from Xiao Chen and Cheng Menjing, Ling Qianxue was very touched. For a moment, she didn't know what to say and her eyes flickered slightly. It's nothing, we're good partners. Cheng Menjing said with a smile. Yes, we'll give you some advice. Maybe the problem can be solved. Don't just stare blankly by yourself. Xiao Chen rubbed Ling Qianxue's hair. Actually, it's like this. Ling Qianxue nodded, then told them what Xing Chick forced her to do, as well as what method she used to make Xiao Chen take the bait. I don't know what to do, so this guy is too shameless. He can even think of such a despicable method. After listening, Qing Minjing was so angry that her face turned red. Was this chick really a girl? How did she think of such a method? Oh. Xiaochen lowered his head and thought for a while. His eyes lit up and he said with a smile, "That's easy. Just go back and say that you failed. I didn't take the bait at all. Then Ladyboy won't give you such a rotten idea again." Why did I fail? If I said that for no reason, she definitely wouldn't believe me. Ling Qianxue asked with a face full of confusion. Although her acting wasn't bad, it had to be reasonable so that Xing Chick wouldn't suspect anything. It's very simple. Just say that at the critical moment, you weren't willing to give it to me, so I went to find Qing Yao Yao and left you hanging. Just say that, she definitely won't suspect anything. This kind of thing is too normal. Xiaochen explained with a smile. He felt that Xing Chick might have a problem with her IQ. He brought 2 girls to get a room. If one of them didn't give it to him, couldn't he find the other one? Chapter 929. In Your Dreams. Qing Minjing secretly rolled her eyes and muttered, "I was just thinking of a way." Xiaochen smiled. Qing Minjing lightly snorted. She understood that this was indeed the case and didn't argue anymore. Right, why didn't I think of that? Ling Qianshua's eyes brightened. She realized that this was indeed a good excuse. The stone in her heart was finally put down and she revealed a smile that she hadn't seen in a long time. She also blamed herself for being too stupid. Why didn't she think of this? Otherwise she wouldn't have worried Xiao Chen and Qing Minjing. Alright, don't think so much. Since the matter has been resolved, let's go take a bath. Qing Minjing stood up happily and reached out her hand to take off her clothes out of habit. She suddenly saw Xiao Chen looking at her dumbly and immediately retracted her hand, planning to take it off in the bathroom. Although Qing Minjing and Xiao Chen had already dual cultivated a few times, it was still a bit hard for her to accept to be naked in front of Xiao Chen. The young miss was a reserved person and couldn't get over the hurdle in her heart. She still needed time to slowly get used to it. But lady boy, cough cough, what if young Master Xing continues to think of some messy and lousy moves and forces me to do it? We can't always be led by the nose by him. Ling Qianxue hesitated for a while and opened her mouth again. In the end she almost let it slip. She realized that ever since she got together with Xiao Chen, she seemed to have less and less respect for little Miss Xing. She no longer had the respect a subordinate had for her superior. Yes, that's true, we should indeed counterattack. We must take the initiative. We can't always let young Master Ladyboy make the first move and then we'll be tired of defending. We have to strike first. Xiao Chen nodded in agreement. He pinched his chin and said, "Let me think, is there a suitable method? Then take your time to think. We'll go take a bath first." Qing Minjing pulled Ling Qianxue and shyly walked to the bathroom. Hearing the sound of water and laughter coming from the bathroom, Xiao Chen didn't have any thoughts. Instead, he held his chin and fell into deep thought. In Xiao Chen's opinion, although little Miss Xing was hateful, she was someone worth using. If he used the right method, he might be able to get some information from her. After a while, Qing Minjing and Ling Qianxue finished showering and walked out with towels wrapped around them. Seeing that Xiao Chen was still deep in thought with his head lowered, the 2 girls didn't dare to disturb him. They quietly sat by the bed and helped each other dry their hair. Xiao Chen saw that the 2 were sitting by the side and didn't dare to speak loudly. It was quite boring, so he temporarily put aside his thoughts and didn't plan to think about it. He called the 2 of them to start the 3 types of cultivation. Anyway, he could multitask and think while cultivating. It wouldn't take up any time. Ling Qianxue was very smart. Xiao Chen only gave her a simple instruction and she understood the method of dual cultivation. The 3 of them sat in a triangle with their palms pressed against each other. They began to transfer their energy and immerse themselves in cultivation. Qing Minjing cultivated for a while and felt that the speed of the 3 of them seemed to be a bit faster than dual cultivation. She was happy and closed her eyes. She began to use all her strength and speed to transfer her energy. However, as they cultivated, Qing Minjing suddenly felt that the energy from Xiao Chen's side was cut off for some reason. On the other side, Ling Qianshue's palm was no longer pressed against hers and left. Other than the breaking of the energy, Qing Minjing also heard Ling Qianshue's low moans. She didn't know what they were doing, but the entire bed was also lightly shaking. Surprised, Qing Minjing opened her eyes and saw that Xiao Chen and Ling Qianxue were rolling together. Ling Qianxue seemed to be enjoying it but was also shy. She bit her lips and closed her eyes, but she couldn't help but let out sounds. Qing Minjing was so angry that she almost went crazy. However, she couldn't just throw a tantrum, so she could only cover her ears tightly. Even so, the whispers of the two people on the side were like magic sounds, intermittently passing into her ears. After enduring for a while, Cheng Minjing felt that her body was involuntarily reacting. Her face was also so red that it was about to drip blood. She didn't know if it was because she was angry or hot. Helpless, she snorted, gritted her teeth, and stood up. She put on her clothes and left the room, closing the door behind her. After wandering aimlessly for half an hour, she received a call from Xiao Chen, saying that they were done and asking her to come back. In fact, Xiao Chen's fighting ability was not limited to half an hour. However, although his body was entangled with Ling Qianxue, his heart was still thinking about the young Mississippi. He was afraid that she would encounter some trouble wandering outside alone, so he ended it hastily so that she could return to the hotel earlier. Please? Next time before you start, can you tell me first? I can also leave early to make room for you. After a while, Cheng Minjing walked into the room with a face full of displeasure. She said angrily, "You said that you want to cultivate 3 times together, but in the end you completely don't take me seriously. This is too much." "Ah, I'm sorry, I couldn't help it," Xiao Chen explained with a dry laugh. Seeing that Cheng Minjing's expression was not good, he quickly changed the topic and said, "However, I have already thought of a way to counterattack young Master Ladyboy. It may not succeed, but at least it should be able to buy some time so that he won't make things difficult for Qianxue in the short term." "Oh? What way?" Cheng Minjing was stunned. Just now, Xiao Chen was still thinking hard and had no way to deal with Xing Qianxue. How did he come up with an idea after doing it with Ling Qianxue once? Could it be that he relied on that to get inspiration? Cheng Minjing's imagination was running wild, but Ling Qianxue couldn't care less. She asked urgently, "What do I need to do?" She had been tormented by Xing Qianxue to the point where she couldn't take it anymore. Right now she was grasping at straws. "It's very simple. When you go back, tell young Master Ladyboy this." Xiao Chen turned his head and told Ling Qianxue his idea in detail. "Oh." Ling Qianxue furrowed her brows and thought for a while. Suddenly her eyes lit up. She understood Xiao Chen's intention. "Xiao Chen, will your idea really work? I see that young Master Ladyboy is very cunning. I don't think he'll be so easy to trick?" Cheng Minjing asked with some doubt. After all, Xiao Chen's idea couldn't stand scrutiny. As long as Xing Qianxue was slightly on guard, she could easily see through his true colors. Then all the preparation from before would be wasted. "What are you afraid of? Life is like a drama. It all depends on acting skills. I believe Qianxue can handle it." Xiao Chen waved his hand disapprovingly. He turned his head and said to Ling Qianxue, "You don't have to wait until tomorrow morning. You can go back and report now. This will make it look more real and will make it harder for young Master Ladyboy to suspect you." Chapter 930. "Okay, then I'll leave first. I'll let you know as soon as there's news." Ling Qianxue nodded, put on her clothes and left the hotel. Xiao Qin and Cheng Minjing, on the other hand, sorted out their emotions and continued the unfinished dual cultivation. Although the young miss was affected by Xiao Qin and Ling Qianxue's exercise just now, and her body had an involuntary reaction, after going out and experiencing the cold wind for a while, that feeling had already disappeared. When Ling Qianxue returned to the dormitory late at night, she discovered that Xing girl had not gone to sleep yet. Instead, she was sitting on the sofa in the outer room cultivating. Ling Qianxue thought to herself, "Just nice, I don't have to take the initiative to find you." She took a deep breath, adjusted her emotions, and pretended to be wronged as she silently walked over. You're back? How come you're back so early? Did you find out Xiao Yi's true identity?" Xing girl heard the noise and saw that it was Ling Qianxue. She couldn't help but ask in surprise. She thought that Ling Qianxue would spend the night at the hotel. She didn't think that she would be back before midnight. She was a bit puzzled. What was going on? Sob, sob, sob. "I did what you said just now and Xiao Yi ignored me. He directly kicked me out and turned around to do it with Cheng Yaoyao." Ling Qianxue's tears fell like pearls from a broken necklace. "Ah?" Xing girl was shocked. She originally thought that her plan was flawless. She didn't think that it would backfire. Looking at the beautiful Ling Qianxue, Xing girl frowned and said, "Is this Xiao Yi blind? You didn't give it to him, but he didn't want it and even kicked you out. You would rather find that average-looking Cheng Yaoyao? Is he not interested in beauties?" Xing girl was puzzled. What kind of person was this Xiao Yi? He would rather give up a beauty like Ling Qianxue than reveal any information. Was he really Xiao Chen in disguise? But it didn't seem like it. Yes. Sob sob sob. I don't know what's going on with him. What should I do now? Ling Qianxue wiped her tears and asked innocently. You're asking me? How would I know? Little Miss Xing was speechless. Frowning, she said impatiently, Don't keep crying. Crying won't solve the problem. Hurry up and think of a solution. Okay. Ling Qianxue secretly pouted and took out a tissue to wipe her face. She lowered her head and pretended to think. Little Miss Xing glared at Ling Qianxue. She was a little unhappy. She didn't complete her mission, yet she still had the nerve to cry. Wasn't she ashamed? After a while, Ling Qianxue seemed to have thought of something. She abruptly raised her head and said, That's right, I thought of an idea. It should be of some help to our plan. What idea? Don't hide it, hurry up and say it. Little Miss Xing hurriedly urged. I remember that we saw Xiao Chen's information before. He seems to have been looking for his father, right? Ling Qianxue's expression was a little uncertain as she asked weakly. Yes, that's right. Continue. Little Lady Xing thought for a moment and nodded. She didn't know what Ling Qianxue was trying to express. I feel that since we can't directly ask for his true identity, why don't we consider starting from this aspect? Ling Qianxue said as she paused. Her speech speed was neither fast nor slow. She could see that little Lady Xing was a little hooked, so she deliberately wanted to whet her appetite. Don't beat around the bush. What do you want to say? Be more direct. Little Lady Xing was very depressed. This Ling Qianxue used to be quite capable. Why did she become so wishy-washy after doing it with Xiao Chen? It's like this. It's said that the mastermind behind the disappearance of Xiao Chen's father is Qi Tian sect. Then, can we use Qi Tian sect to inquire about this? Once we know the ins and outs of this matter, I can use this information to probe Xiao Yi. If he really is Xiao Chen in disguise, then he will definitely pursue this matter at all costs. Ling Qianxue analyzed methodically. Oh. Little Lady Xing's heart moved. What Ling Qianxue said did make some sense. From the previous few times when Xiao Chen searched for his father, it can be seen that he cares a lot about this. So, I feel that the success rate of this method should be quite high. Ling Qianxue saw that little Lady Xing was moved, so she added fuel to the fire. This method was what Xiao Chen told her. This was because Xiao Chen really wanted to find out the whereabouts of his father, but he couldn't find a suitable entry point. Now that little Lady Xing, a disciple of Qi Tian sect, was here, it became much simpler. This is a method, but are you sure it will work? What if he continues to play dumb after learning about his father's whereabouts? Or what if he just runs away and runs to find his father's whereabouts? Little Lady Xing asked. Little Lady Xing wasn't worrying unnecessarily. After all, Xiao Chen was too cunning. She had already been fooled by him many times. Think about it. Right now, both of us are in our original appearances. If he wants to play dumb and pretend not to know us, then normal methods of probing won't work. Didn't we try many times before? So, I feel that we can only rely on a fierce medicine to make him reveal his true colors. Ling Qianxue wasn't nervous at all and spoke frankly with assurance. Actually, she had already guessed that little Lady Xing would ask this, so she had already prepared the answer to this question. What you said is somewhat reasonable. I didn't think that not only did your strength increase recently, your brain has also become much more intelligent. You're worth teaching. Little Lady Xing was suddenly enlightened. She nodded her head and praised Ling Qianxue. Please don't say that. It's all because I was able to learn from young Master Xing that I was able to improve so quickly. Seeing that she had successfully convinced little Lady Xing, Ling Qianxue's heart relaxed. She smiled humbly and said a few words of flattery. All right, your method is indeed feasible. I'll go ask the higher-ups right now. After being flattered a few times, little Lady Xing's heart felt better. She nodded her head in satisfaction, picked up her phone and walked towards her room. After little Lady Xing walked into her room, Ling Qianxue secretly let out a sigh of relief. She originally thought that there would be a lot of twists and turns. She didn't think that things would progress so smoothly. With just a few simple words, this matter was settled. Elder son, this is little Xing. I have something to ask. Little Lady Xing didn't care that it was already late at night. Without hesitation, she dialed Elder Son's phone and explained the situation. Luckily, Elder Son wasn't asleep at this time. He was cultivating, so he didn't reprimand little Lady Xing. Oh, I'll go ask around. Wait for my news. After Elder Sun heard this, he felt that little Lady Xing's suggestion was indeed reasonable, so he agreed. Alright, Elder Sun, do you have any news about that Ma Wuxia? Little Lady Xing asked. You're tuning in to the Han Li's Wuxia Chronicles YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.